beard. Like I get patches of stuff that I can't grow stuff in. Anyways,
I see.
what's what's up, nerds? Guys, Master here with another Magic the Gathering puzzle quest. It's me and my main man, Main Loop, with another episode of Nerds on Parade. How are you guys doing? Welcome to the show. How are you, brother?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I am better than a box of fluffy ducks. I need you to tell me what your best pull from the set of Aetherdrift has been so far, for two reasons. Number one, so the people that are jumping in here can hear live and make sure that they're able to hear you. And in addition to that, well, I can go post the links and let everybody know that we are live right now.
Yeah. All right. My best pull, I don't know. Maybe Full Throttle. That card is crazy, but I would say my favorite card so far, like the one that I probably use the most in a bunch of different types of decks, is actually Possession Engine. Uh, I love that card. It's like an upgraded kidnap to me, where you steal the creature. It's permanently disabled, I believe, unless something like Aegis steals it back and re-enables it. But but also that whole thing, if you steal a Galta, you're getting at least 15 mana a turn because of the gain X mana part of it. So yeah, depending on what you steal, you could even buff that creature if you want to, and get more mana out of it in that way. But yeah, it's just a really good it also works as removal too, because if you have three creatures already in play, and you choose not to take it, then it just gets destroyed.
Yeah,
So
that's one
it's
thing that
disabled in.
yeah, that's one thing that a lot of the other take your steal your girl stuff does that it doesn't do well. It doesn't give you an option to do something with it. Let me take it first, then I'll decide what I want to do with it, even destroy
Right.
it. I'm hopeful. That's two cards now that we have that do that. I can't remember what the other card that does that. Um, but hopefully that'll allow us to continue that trend, regardless of how many people we have on our side. So even if we have three stacked, let us take it and replace something we've got. Why not? I mean, that doesn't make any sense
Right.
not to. I love that. So you've been playing with that a lot then, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you throw in things like Aminatu, um, and you put in all your other creatures that you're normally playing in your deck, then this card just comes in and you can kind of board wipe their side if you
Hmm.
play enough of them, like if you pull them out. So it works for a lot of different things like that. So pretty awesome card in that way.
That's nice. I guess you can guess the card of my choice is Full Throttle so far.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of a no-brainer. What's funny is that because of the way that they um, release this set,
Uh-huh.
the way that they always release this set, I cannot spell. Is that? I don't know. Whatever.
There you go.
There it is. I'm in my alt account too. I'm not in my main account. So, um, the challenge with it is that I don't know the card. We didn't know the cards in advance, so we had to go in through and
Right.
basically go check them out and see, live pull them. It didn't make any sense for us to go do reviews of the cards and say, oh, this is good or this isn't good when the set's live. Like I really wish they would change
Right.
that to where they'd say, hey, you got a week of, you got a so they have like this 2 week ramp up. I'd rather they do a
Mm-hmm.
week of um, spoilers, just
Mm-hmm.
cram them all in there, two a day, whatever. That's hype, and then another week of okay, here's the cards. We're gonna go finish them, and hey, some of these might change. That way, if they have like a
Right.
loose idea or something like that before they adjust them, just like that's one thing Octagon did that I liked. And then we got a
Mm-hmm.
week to sit with those cards and kind of voice our concerns or say what we're excited about or whatever, and then go from there. And then the set drops, and then it's just like, okay, well, let's go see what it actually does. You can have some chase. It builds anticipation. That's the one thing that I see it's missing in most of the stuff they're doing. There's not enough anticipation. You know what I mean?
Right. I totally agree. And yeah, even if they didn't want to do 2 weeks or a week of spoiler and a week of like nothing, well, not
Right.
nothing, but no new content beyond the gallery, just do like a week and a half of spoilers and a half a week of looking at
Yeah. Even
the
three
full set
days.
spoiler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just even 3 days would be fine. I'd be totally cool with that.
Yeah. I feel like the last time they did that was for Murders at Karlov Manor, was the last time they gave us the set in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only like 3 days, 3 or 4 days, but it gave us the weekend to look at the entire set and just kind
Yeah.
of mull it over and figure out,
Yeah.
okay, this card's gonna be broken. This card's why is this card a masterpiece? Whatsoever, or
Right.
whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that is very much missing. And yeah, I do feel like it's missing. Like I don't get a chance to really look at the cards because everyone's already looking at them. So there's no
Right.
build up to it. There's no looking at things in advance and figuring them out. You just kind of get dropped into the set blind and you figure it out from there. It's just
Right.
very disjointed and uneven way of doing it. I just feel like that they're really like doing themselves no favors by not releasing
And
the
I think that's the thing to me. Most of it is that it's just so disheveled, uh,
mhm,
and it's so disorganized, and
right.
it's so anticlimactic. It's just like, oh, hey,
Mhm.
here's all the stuff. It's like, oh, well, cool. I think so. That's number one. And what's up, the Hunter? It's good to see you, buddy. Nerds on the left of me, nerds
Hey.
on the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Don't get me singing. Don't even already start the music. Come on, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I think for me, we'd love your thoughts on this, Hunter, because if you guys are watching this and you guys aren't already subscribed to the Hunter's channel, my goodness, my dude puts out content on all. He outproduces everybody in content production, I think combined. He's just constantly
Yeah.
putting videos out there. They're smaller videos. Typically, he's on this tear right now of documenting. He's doing the Lord's work right now, the dev's work right now. He's basically putting out every token creature demonstrated. So if there's ever a
Mhm.
token you want to see, he's got a running catalog of tokens and how they
Mhm.
work and how they execute and what they do. You should definitely check him out. He also has like an exhaustive bug list too of stuff. So
Mm.
great guy, great content. Love his accent. You got to go check him out. I don't know
Oh
what it is
yeah.
about Brits or people from the UK. You got to have it,
I
right?
think Baltazar both were and I were both like, oh, he's got the best voice of all the
He's
content creators
got the greatest
in this
voice.
space.
It's so good. It's kind of upsetting. I'm not gonna say I'm jealous. I'm just a little, whatever. Anyways, he's great. You should check him out. But on that note, I would love your thoughts on this, on what we would like to see, not just as content creators for this stuff, but also as leaders in the organization. Because this is a tiny community. I mean, we say this all the time. There's less than 5,000 of us. I'd probably argue for sure less than
Probably.
10,000. I
Yeah.
I'd argue we're probably closer to 5,000, but realistically, no more than 10,000. Like, there's no way you'd convince me there's more than 10K. I could be wrong. Hey, web
Hmm.
devs, if you're in here kind of sneaking around, you see it and you think that it's wrong, type a number in there. We'd love to hear it and see it, but we just don't see it. Aw. So my
Yeah.
point. Oh, go ahead.
The way I would look at it is if it was a big number, they'd had no problem telling us.
100%. There would be no shame in them touting a million players, right? Right.
Right.
And that's just not the
Be
case.
shouting it from the rooftops.
Exactly. What they're doing right now is they're hiding it because it's not something they want to do. What's up, Andrew? Yo, I walked in the nerd feast right here. What's up, man? You're in good company, my man. Absolutely good company. What's up, Sardix? You're awesome, the hunter. We all love you. Aw, look at that. Share the love. Share the love. Do we get the love banner
He
on this
wrote
stuff? Look at
quantity
this.
over quality. That's
Bam,
funny.
bam, baby, right there. Hearts. Uh, So back to the point of this, I think that if they're a little more organized in the way they're bringing this stuff out, it could actually lead to a lot more hype. Again, in my main business and the things that I do launches and product program development, and anticipation is one of the most important things you can do for building up hype and excitedness. I mean, anticipation for a product launch, and there's just a lot of things I want to see them do better. But that's not it. That's not the whole story. A new set is always exciting when the set's exciting. We'll talk
Hmm.
about the cards here in a minute in their home lackluster, but I think the way you set the table before you serve the appetizers, the main dish and whatnot matters. You know what I'm talking
Hmm.
about. You know what I'm saying, cuh? And
I feel
because
you.
of that, you feel me, bruh? Because of that, I think that we are seeing not just the lackluster cards, frankly.
Hmm.
It's the emotional disappointment, the frustration, the angst that the player base as a whole is experiencing right now
Hmm.
that was not addressed. So I actually want to start
Right.
with the communication that came from Webcore all
Hmm.
about, hey, we've got this thing. I forgot what was the name of the thing that they put out. Let me look it up here real quick.
Gosh, I forget. But that
Um,
like sort of newsletter they posted on the
right,
forum, right?
right,
Is what you're
right,
talking about? Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There's something I can't say on stream, but you can go look at yourself, and it's pretty damn funny. It's in the Discord. But as I
I
look in
see.
here and I look at announcements
That's
game,
good.
I can go to, what is it called? It is called. There's the patch notes that they made some updates for stuff, which it's good to see that they're back in the swing of things and doing things that way.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I'm stealing way too much momentum and energy off of it. What's this thing called? Mana Echo. Thank you, Mid Carter.
Mana
Thank you,
Echo.
man.
Okay. I
Mana
would have
Echoes.
never remembered that.
Mana Echo Episode 1 or Issue 1. And
Yeah.
so first and foremost, Webcore. Yes, a regular form of communication. And they also said in there, we're going to see you in 2 weeks. So everybody in unison in the player base went like this. Click, click. They
Yeah.
set their timers, and I said, you said 2 weeks. And we want, here's the thing, we want to believe you. We want to be on your
Right.
side. As many of the players that complain, they're still playing the game. They're still opening the game. They're still doing the thing. Yeah. So we care and we love about it. Yeah. We just want it. We just want to believe, man. We want that hope. I always tell folks when you're selling new products, especially like personal development courses and all this kind of stuff, people don't buy a thing. Like when you buy a new art program or some type of book or something like that, even some new packs, you're not buying the pack itself or the cards it gets you. You're buying the hope of the cards or the packs that it gets you. And when you
Right.
open that pack, what happens? You have the reality of that thing coming and all that hope is gone. It just flies away and then you just have work. So like a lot of people were disappointed in this set, and and again, it wasn't you know me. I think everybody here knows how I like it the powerful. I like it the powerful card. You go to open the box, you open it up, poof. I don't push a button, it just wins the game. Yes, this is what I like. See,
Yeah.
see se
Right.
puede. This is what I like. But I also do actually enjoy the thinking portion of the game, and there are several thinker cards that I'll cover and go over here. We'll get to here in just a bit. But the
Hmm.
most important part for me is that did they build that hype up? Did they set the table where things set up in a way that makes us excited to even start digging for it? And I think the lackluster review, even the video views on a lot of the videos that we've put out, that I put out, they're half the numbers of what they normally would. Why is that?
Mm.
People just don't care. They're just not as excited as they were previous sets. And then the cards we're leaking, I don't think are that great to leak with. Like my philosophy is give us a great card to leak to show. Like if you'd have given me full throttle
Hmm.
to leak, bro, how hype would that video have been? I would have been all over that bad boy. I would have been all over it. And
They just wanted to keep you from having it day one.
maybe. Well, when it's true, it's the hardest card to pull, but I wound up pulling it pretty quick.
Right.
And I remember when I said, because I didn't know anything about the cards. I didn't do any I didn't go look at I didn't even go look at
Right.
the Facebook stuff. I started, and then
No,
they
neither did
released the
I.
set, and
That's
I'm
the
like,
first time I've ever not looked at the Facebook like
there was no
when it came
need.
out because I just like, well, I could just go in the game and look at the cards
Yeah,
too.
and I can read the
So there's
text
no
and I can
point.
click on the stuff. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, right? Sorry, I'm cutting you off. I'm
Yeah.
terrible. I'm a terrible person.
No, 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 it's all good. Really, like the only time I look at the Facebook things after the set has been released is for like pictures to use
Yeah,
for content. So, like,
yeah, because
I'm
they have the
one of
white
like,
borders. You can delete those pretty
yeah,
easily in Photoshop.
r- right, yeah. So I'm like one of like a handful of people who even care about there
Yeah.
that's even useful. For the rest of the people, it's just like, I don't know what's like. There's no, there's no sense to it. I gotta say, yeah,
Yeah,
like
it,
doing
it
it that way.
it definitely can be organized a lot better, even if nothing else. Even if the cards are lackluster, the hype for it shouldn't be, right? It
Hmm.
should be something that you're able to go through and just get excited for at least a few of the cards, right? And I don't care how lackluster a set is. Like Andrew's saying here, I saw the paper was set was pretty lackluster too. Not a lot of excitement. Two things to that. Number one, that's fine. That doesn't change the release setup. That doesn't impact how it should be promoted. Okay, that's separate. Hype is hype, and there's a certain algorithm to that, if you will. But in addition to that, paper or Puzzle Quest is different than paper. So even if it sucks in paper, the card import can be adjusted any way they want. They pretty much have carte blanche to do what they want with it, and how it
Right.
impacts and what it does, and how it can actually be functional in our game. So I don't ever look at the
Right.
cards in paper and say, oh, that's going to be cool in PQ. I just see how they can
Right.
adapt it in my brain. There's 2 or 3 different ways they can go. I know how they're going to do it basically by the limiting stuff they've done. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the way it is. To the hunter, they do give us the spoiler cards that we can demo them after the set's released.
Oh
Walkers and
yeah, yeah.
cards they can't give us prior to the patch updates and the updates. So they have to update the system for
Right.
everybody before we can have access to it. There's no secondary system we get to log into and play with or do stuff like that. Not yet.
Right.
Maybe there will be in the future
That'd be
when there's
sweet.
enough players, which I would assume they'd have to have like a ghost account or a ghost server that they
Mm-hmm.
test stuff on privately once
Mm.
we're big enough. I don't know. Maybe this game doesn't require that, but most other developers do that kind of thing for live play for what it is. Anyways,
Mm.
but again that article that came out, the Mana Echoes, I think it's a good starting point to say, okay, cool. Here's our commitment to this communication, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, great. It didn't really address anything. What's up, Chris? Really didn't address anything, didn't answer anything. It just says, hey, here's what happened. This is the issues. We're aiming to fix that, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
You set the table. What are you going to serve us? And then the set
Right.
was fairly lackluster. So I think it's a combination of the angst that the player base is feeling, the not enough in the communication for sure, and just the promise of more communication is good, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really address anything. And removing the daily rewards is still something still stings the player base really really bad. You know?
Yeah. Have they yet said anything about like their decision to justify that since? It almost seems like the only times they've even addressed that, they've been like, "Oh, our bad," but they haven't like actually
They haven't
fixed
changed anything.
anything.
Right. Well, that's my point. Is they didn't. They said, oh yeah, that was oops, or yeah, we have this thing coming in the future. Okay, when? Give us a give us a timeline, a rough outline. And I know they've got to be. I've seen it in other development companies too, where they have to be careful. Where they make a promise they're going to do a thing, doesn't happen in that time frame, and everybody just
Mhm.
drags their ass across the glass. Okay, something, man. You got to give us something. 20 something coming this calendar 2025. And I argue that with as much goodwill as it's been damaged over the last 3 months, and again, note it's just the last couple of months of the year, right? So the last 3 months calendar now. Prior to that, they were batting a pretty solid 800, 700 in my opinion. They were batting good. They were making good hits and doing lots of great stuff, which again, collectively
Mhm.
for the year, the good stuff by far outweighs the bad stuff. Even with the like, if they'd have taken the rewards away beginning of last year, and then
Mhm.
everything else they did to this, I'd be like, okay, it's pretty fair, right? I think we have more event like the event frequency.
Hmm.
What's up, Roy? The event frequency right now. Um, this is one thing I don't hear anybody talking about, and I was going to see if you noticed this. Um, we have a lot more events now than we did when Octagon was in charge. Like a lot of daily
Oh yeah,
events.
I noticed that for sure.
So we have a lot more rewards that are in and they're good reward system. Like the 2 events that are happening right now, right? Like if you go
Mhm.
to boopity boop boop, the look at how bad that image is. Oh my god, why did you pick that image? She looks like she's got a growth in her pants. It's disgusting. Following the clues, like she's just dysmorphic body or whatever. Following the clues and implicit maze both have incredible rewards. Like 60 gold or
True.
something like that. You
Yeah.
can't even see. And they're giving a lot more of those events, and as a result, that more than offsets, in my opinion, what they took from us. But they didn't do it in the proper order. They didn't take daily rewards and say, hey, we're giving you more daily events. We want you to play. Go get this stuff done. I still think they should do daily
Mm.
rewards or just make them smaller or whatever to offset and say, hey, here's where the economy is going to be functional. This
Right.
is how it supports the game. And just tell us that, like, hey, we need more money. We want to do these things for you guys. We have this plan and this plan, this plan. This is the budgets we need for it. Hey, here's a Kickstarter for us to go do it, dude. How many people would go throw some cash at them just to go fund projects that they want to do, right? I
Hmm.
would,
Maybe.
$5,
Yeah.
$10. You get 10,000. Let's say we get 5,000. Maybe not me is code for that for Mainloop. I'm keeping my dollars in my pocket. Lots of events with
No, I'd
gold, but
just
no
say
pinks.
community overall. A
I think
lot
the
of people
community
are like,
overall would. A lot of them would fund into it, especially if it's projects that they get to gear and control and say, hey, we want this project over that one. This is the number of dev hours it would require us to get done. You guys want to help us get it done sooner rather than later? Here it is. Great. We move it to the front of the. That's just
hmm,
synergy, man. That's just good synergy, in my opinion. And then, as a
hmm,
Kickstarter, you do something in advance. Hey, cool. The people that do this, you basically got to get this extra content that's relevant to you for donating. So you get some digital product on top. I mean, again, there's tons of different ways to market your game to get involved. And
hmm.
I feel that our community is small enough that it is kind of a grassroots, almost like a pre-launch or in launch mode, a startup company for the most part, right? I
Yeah.
don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Different ways of figuring out how to engage the community. Give people choices like, hey, this is the direction, or this is a direction we're thinking of going. How do you guys feel about it? Vote with your dollars. It's interesting. I don't know if they would go for it, but I like the idea. It's
Yeah, I mean,
something that's
it's
thinking outside
something.
the box. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, it really is just a matter of communication. Like, tell us what you're doing. Like, give us a
Yeah.
hint of what you're doing. You don't have to you don't even have to give us time, like set times to um just tell us like, okay, this is what these are our goals and what we're aiming for. And hopefully that's what's coming down the pike with the mana echoes thing, but I don't know. We'll have to see how forthcoming they are about their community, like what they'll actually be saying in those newsletters before I can say, oh, this isn't good enough, or actually this is actually very good
Yeah, it could be
what
great.
they're communicating.
Could be great.
Could be
And we
great. Could not.
I will tell you this: our communication within, there's been a lot of comments on the internet in certain places. But I'm constantly reminded, well, the YouTubers, they love the YouTubers, so the YouTubers they get daily communication. Honestly, man, it's literally not much more than, hey, here's the next set, here's what's going on. Hey, there was this bug.
Hmm.
Just wanted to throw it up there to you guys so you guys are aware of it. Thanks. And the other side of that is the events on the weekends sometimes that, like, if there's an issue, we'll throw it up to them and they'll say, thanks, we got it, team's working on it. And that's it. And whenever they make a
Right.
post in the public forums, right, they then tell us, hey, here's the patch notes, hey, here's this, here's that. And that's what we communicate to you guys in the forums or anywhere else inside of
Right.
our servers. Um, like that's about it. They don't tell us much of anything else.
Yeah. When we say like there's a lot of communication between us and the devs, it's not top down communication, it's bottom up. We're
Yeah,
telling them stuff all the time. It's not
yeah.
a lot of info coming down there to us from them.
Actually, I had never really thought of it that way. Really, what it is it's you, me, Nalthazar, and the rest of the content creators grumbling at them and just kind of talking amongst ourselves in front of them. That's
Yeah.
basically all it is. And sometimes
More or
they'll
less.
chime in and laugh at or whatever. They'll make comments just kind of
Yeah.
goofing off, but nothing official that comes from
Right.
them. So, anyways, my point in that being is that the communication itself and what we're getting, the
Yeah.
information we get, is very just as limited as what you guys get outside
Yeah,
of
I
the
just wanted to
servicism.
like
Yeah.
clear up if there was any misconception about was going out there, which I mean I think there's probably still is, but this is I mean we're giving you as much info as we're able to,
Yeah,
basically.
and even then, like so if you guys ever get clear, like, oh, Goz is gonna come in and only give us so much information. He's a corporate shill. I am an entrepreneur and I understand the requirements of maintaining um uh the audience, having your consumer base on your side. I think a good example of that is what's happening right now IRL where it's against them. I can't. I had it this morning. We were just talking about it. I can't think of it. But there's a couple different brands and products that now people are against them because of the way they're conducting themselves. Probably a political thing, so it's probably better that I don't discuss it. But as a
Mm,
result, those people are less to try. Oh, actually Wizards of the Coast in general. Sorry, it was Wizards of the Coast. It was in regards to it's in regards to how D&D the player bases and the dungeon masters don't trust them anymore. I'm a big D&D guy, and
mm,
the thing that
okay.
I'm seeing right now is that role playing as a whole is higher and more uh, uh, widespread than ever, and historically it's been TSR or Wizards of the Coast or Dungeons and Dragons. That's their sales, so goes everyone else. Well, right now Wizards sales are down and everybody else's are up. So it actually is like,
Hmm.
oh well, role playing in general or tabletop RPGs are are down. Like, no, it's just D&D because of this new
Interesting.
setup, and people are like, why should I get this new set? Why should I get these new rules, these new additions of the
Hmm.
classic rules? Why not just play with the old rules? Well, we fix this, we fix it, and people are
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I'm not seeing it enough, and they're kind of waiting and seeing. And it's also very different in D&D too, where like, hey, we're in the middle of a campaign, we're not waiting for the new sets to come out and we're gonna start playing with them.
Hmm.
We'll wait till we're done with this campaign, and then when we start a next
Oh,
campaign, we'll look into the new sets. Right, like that's
interesting.
kind of the way it works. Where us, we have this meta that we have to feed into, and it's constantly updating. And that's another
Hmm.
thing that I think is messing with. We're going to get into the meta here in just a second. We're going to
Yeah.
go over cards here in a
I
second.
do see some parallels there with what you're talking about, specifically about like, why do I need to get these new cards when my cards I already have are just fine? But
Yes,
we'll get into it more
somebody made
deeply.
a comment earlier, like I was talking about, oh, did you get this new card? And they were on the, have you guys got what's the new builds and stuff? Like, why would you want to adjust any of your builds? You've already built the best decks there are with the cards we already had. And then I showed this and I
Yeah.
said, are you sure about that? Because I think this one's going
Yeah.
to change some stuff up. So let's go through these cards and see which ones are chase or not. Roy says they were pretty quick to fix Bright Glass Gearhulk. They were, and I don't know why.
That's good.
One thing that somebody commented to me about was like speed and quality or time frame of when we get information. I said it before. I'm going to say it again to make sure we're 100% clear. We get our info that is really any info only after stuff hits the forums. There was a huge think about
Hmm.
that beforehand, and it turned out that it was beforehand. It was announced like one of the things that I got into. I almost got canceled over was it was announced in game, and then I announced it on the forums, and everybody got mad thinking that I had information or that the WWE
Oh,
had information in
yeah,
advance.
I
So
remember that.
dumb. Anyways, that said, that wasn't the case. So now and it's always been this way, and it's more so that it's on the forums first. Even if it's
Hmm.
in the game, it's on the forums first before we're even made aware of it. So FYI. That's enough of that. Let's talk about some cool cards. Nissa World Soul Speaker, 18 mana, 3/3 green elf druid, landfall creatures that support and support cards in your hand gain 10 mana. I like this card. I think there's potential to do some greatness with it. I've played with it all of maybe 15, 20 minutes. You have built a couple of different decks, one specifically in Nissa World, or one of the Nissas, or was
Oh,
it,
yeah, yeah.
how was
Because
that?
somebody challenged me to do that. Yeah, with Nissa World Waker, with
Yeah.
Nissa World Soul
So it was
Speaker.
Dub Dub.
Yeah, it's a cool card. It's definitely got some potential for it, but the thing about it is, it's not super easy to make a lot of landfalls
Not in
in a
standard,
turn.
it isn't. Yeah. Well,
Not in standard, I should say.
actually, here's what I found. It is easy to make landfalls in standard. It's called Galta, and it's called Tempt with Discovery
Sure.
and Mystical Teachings, and then I don't need her because
Right.
I'm converting
Exactly.
so much on the board, right? That she's just in the way. She's a 3/3 body. She's not big enough. So
Hmm.
in micro conversions, maybe things like Splashy Spellcaster. You cast a spell, convert to blue. If there were a card like
Okay.
that for green, right? There's a
Mm,
lot of little
yeah.
micro cards that do green. Creatures that enters battlefield convert to green. I think she has potential with, but it has to be green
Hmm.
because it's green. It's a green card. If she were blue, I'd say it'd have to be blue, and Splashy Spellcaster would be a good fit for it, but it's not. So there's got to be something we do. And the other thing too, the other hidden limiter on this bad boy is that it's creatures and supports only, not spells.
Yeah, no spells. That really keeps it from going out of control for sure, but makes it way less fun.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I get it. I mean, that would be insane. But
Conversion ETB supports. I mean, Sunken Citadel. Is there anything else that does that right
Sunken
now in standard?
Citadel, um, I mean, I guess if you drew into a ley line, but that's kind of different. But other than
Yeah.
that, no, I think that's about it. I'm thinking more like creatures that enter the board and convert gems, but then again, there's not much room for them. So I think there's just a lot of stuff built in to limit this card. to make it not as busted as it sounded, but uh,
You
I'm
know,
sure we'll figure it out.
there's three levels. Well, probably more. There's unplayable. There's role player, which cards fit into specific card decks really, and they feed a need, draw, engine, conversion, uh,
Hmm.
win con, whatever. There's good cards that are the engines, right? Like draw, you know, that
Yeah.
stuff, and mana conversion. And then finally, there's busted cards. Like, oh my god, this card does three of these things on its own, right? I I am mourning cut your losses. I don't know if I'll ever get over that.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's at least once a week I'll get up and just single tears. I hold a hand against the window pane and I'm just,
Yeah.
oh, so sad.
God, yeah.
It's
I
raining
feel you
outside,
there.
but
I
it's in
feel your
Arizona and there's
pain.
not a cloud in the sky. Sure can see the rain. Okay, anyways.
So
Yeah,
what do you
Omen
slot this
Pass.
card as?
Right now, I would slot this card as it can be good or a role player. It depends though, and I don't.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
it
thinking it's
chase
like a role
worthy
player.
really? And I don't, not yet. And even it's like Vance. I think Vance is a chase card for me, but it's in one
Hmm.
specific build, and that build is
Yeah.
amazing. It's insane good in standard,
Yeah.
but it's so limited. It's like, all right, you need three masterpieces and two other. Like it's
Yeah.
there, but so few, you know, average players or especially newbies, they're not going to have it. They're not going to be able to pull it
Yeah.
off, and I don't think it's going to work for them. With that said, I
Yeah, I
don't
think
have.
Vance is a good comparison for it because we looked at Vance when it first came out, like, oh
Yeah,
my God, this card is stupid. It's going to be broken.
yeah,
You're going to see it everywhere. It's going to kill the game, but then nobody plays him barely. Like I see
yeah.
him every now and again, but
Well,
not
you guys
really.
should. She's excellent. If you have her and you don't play her, you're missing out. She's a lot of fun. Adaptive Omnif Tool, 17 mana. I don't have this card. Artifact equipment at the beginning of your turn. Your
I don't
creatures
have it
get
yet
plus one
either.
plus one. Card effect when this creature attacks, fetch the first artifact card from your library. So it's limited
Okay.
in free artifact based on the attack when your first creature attacks. So that's it. So you only get one
Hmm.
per turn. You can't cast that artifact now. You got to wait till your next turn to get it out. So you're getting a free artifact every turn, and it's self-grabbing. So I mean, if it's the only thing you put in the
Yeah.
deck, fine. I don't know. It seems okay. 17 mana is not too much. It's a support, so we can cheat it out. It's colorless, so we can go to any build. We can cheat it out with the red one, connecting the dots. So
Hmm.
and in white too, we could use or red, we could use what's his face, Dragonhawk. We can use
Hmm.
Aurelia's Vindicator to go get those cards from exile in full mana. So there's a couple of different ways to cheat it out.
Yeah.
Do
The
we really
problem for
need it
me is
though?
that you don't get to choose which artifact you grab, so you can just grab another one of these, and it's just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you doubled
But
up.
like, yeah, it would be masterpiece worthy if like you can like fetch one of the two next artifacts
Yeah,
or whatever. I
yeah.
don't know, something like that.
I'm surprised I don't miss M5 more than I do. Honestly, Chris, I would say the M5 died before rotation even happened. We used it. I
I would
used it a
agree.
lot less because we had a lot more
Hmm.
power cards that were lower to the ground that we didn't need to
Hmm.
cheat out. M5 was a cheat for a specific section, which was SNC, Streets of New Capenna.
Yeah.
And then when we got all of the new sets that came out after that were just bonkers good, like we didn't really need them. I cut it from a lot of my decks because it didn't fit anymore. Didn't have space for it.
Yeah. No, there was no standard where MT and M5 were in the game at the same time, so
God,
that's probably
God,
part of it.
brutal, right? Well, I even comment now on
That
my
would be
server.
amazing. Oh my god.
Every now and then I just say, dude, well, it's in Legacy. You can go play in Legacy. I say to
Yeah,
my
sure.
server every now and then, could you
Actually, would be good
imagine
there.
Galta unnerfed in this meta right now? Could you imagine Galta
Oh
unnerfed?
my god.
And how much we complain like, oh, we don't want her to go, and we were looking around like, I'm friggin' sick of Galta. I'm sick of her. Like everyone's Rakdos. I'm like, it's Galta, dude. Rakdos I can deal with. I'll go steal it. I'll use it against you. You're gonna use it. I'm gonna steal it from you. Every one of my decks has some steal your girl, so I'll basically take it
Mm,
from you.
okay.
But Galta just one turn, you've got your board just completely built up again, and it's like, oh, but it's Gris that's sent. Like, yeah, she makes it go well too. She's strong. I'm not gonna argue that. This one of the strongest, if not, the second strongest walker in the game, in my opinion. Galta just makes everything go. Still, it's so much mana, man. So much mana. Boros Charm. I know you're big on this. You have this. I don't.
Yeah,
17
I really
mana,
like this card.
red white. Deal 8 damage to each opposing creature and to your opponent's planeswalker. Creatures you control gain double strike until the end of turn. Your creatures gain shield counter. That last line. Your creatures gain shield counter too. Go ahead, destroy what you want. Short of exile, you're not hurting my puppies over here. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's actually the most useful part of this card. It
Yeah,
doesn't seem like it would be, but with today's meta, it's really useful.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
Speaking of Rakdos, it's just wasting shield counters, or yeah, it's wasting Rakdos's power on the shield counters,
Hmm.
and now that they fixed loot, that makes it even better card too, because you can stack loot's shield counters and you can throw more shield counters on it. So yeah, shield counters are actually really relevant in the meta right now,
Yeah,
I
the
would
fact
say.
that they can stack now makes them a lot more oppressive. They have finally, originally they were designed to be a replacement for permanently disabled with, fishes, right? Sleep with the fishes.
Hmm.
As again, rip SNC. Best set ever. Can we say that that was probably one of the best sets ever, at least in
Oh yeah,
standard
I would
play.
say so.
Short of
Yeah.
maybe Hour of Devastation. Maybe Hour of Devastation takes peak just because of Omni. But
Mm.
other than that, I think SNC was their best
Overall,
set.
yeah, you look at every rarity and there are like staple cards in it. Even to this day, like
Yep.
they translate into Legacy. So
Yep.
yeah,
Still top players in
excellent set.
Legacy.
I probably the number one set of the game.
Yeah, for sure. And so with that disable out, right, that functionality within that set out, something had to replace it for those control freaks, and this is those stackable deals are good. I'll tell you the other card, it's in PM2, Tamio's Circle of Storyteller or whatever that is. That
Oh, Story
card
Circle. I am so chasing that.
so good from beginning to end. The second chapter is meh, but in a pinch, it's great. Like if you roll into the token creation necessary, that card is amazing, dude. That card is like the card in standard for me right now. It is so bonkers good,
Yeah,
even without using tide. What is it called?
Inexorable Tide.
Inexorable tide. I can never say inexorable. I never remember the word. Inexorable tide. Even without that brokenness, it is still bonkers. I would play it in every deck I could. Um, Boros Charm is a good one. Fire Shrieker, I am lower on this than I know you are. You got it. You get a chance to test it. Do you like this
Yeah,
card? 17 mana, colorless
I like
artifact.
it. I just with a 10 card deck, there's just hardly any
That's my
chance
thing.
for me to put it into my decks right now. I think Double Strike is a very good effect, but if I'm choosing between this and say like a Chroma's Memorial where I get haste out of it,
Mm-hmm.
haste is more important than Double Strike right now
Yeah,
by far.
yeah. Well, especially with the way
And
we
then if
can
you're
beef
playing
our
Full Throttle, which I'm sure we'll get to in a sec, you don't really
somewhere in
need this
here.
card either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I see there's so much redundancy with the double strike. The double strike is nice, but I just don't see it as necessary, especially in support form and at that cost. It's a little high.
Mhm.
Pima Trailblazer, I have this. Have you pulled this yet?
Yeah, I just started messing with it. It's a pretty cool card. I
It's a
still
good
need to
card.
figure out how to
Yeah,
bust it, but I do like it.
yeah.
It
It's
grows
just
pretty quickly.
it does. It's one of those ones where it hits the board and you just hit accept, 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 accept. You shouldn't even have to.
Yeah.
There's never a time you're not going to accept, so it should just be automatic.
Yeah.
You're just
If
gonna
you're
hit it.
playing this in a deck where you're trying to slow play,
Hmm.
then like why are you doing that to yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's silly.
yeah.
So we everybody understands card. It's an Elephant Warrior 3/3 green with level and trample,
Oh
17
yeah,
mana.
probably need to
When this creature deals combat
explain
damage,
it.
increase this card's level by X. X is equal to this creature's power. At the beginning of the combat on your turn, you may have this creature get plus Y plus Y. The answer is yes. If you do, this card's level becomes 1 again. So we're going to talk about that, and then we'll talk about exhaust. So what happens is you get the card on board, immediately goes into combat because it's got summoning sickness, can't do anything. You say yes. The level's at 1. It gives you that level to your power, so you've now got a 4/4, right? So it's not a 3/3. It starts
Mhm.
off first combat, it becomes a 4/4, and then the level sets down to 1 again. So nothing changed. You have haste, or the next turn when it attacks, it's swinging for a 4/4. No, it's not, because combat started again. So it actually becomes,
Mhm.
you say yes, it becomes a 5/5 when he actually swings next turn. Now here's the
Mhm.
thing: his level goes down to 1, but he hits the opponent for 5. That level 1 now becomes a level 6.
Mhm.
So now he's a 5/5 and 6 in level. Next turn he attacks. Do you want that? Yes. Now he's an 11/11. Goes down to 1. He attacks. He hits 12, or 11 go to the 1, so it's now 12. So in 3 turns of attacking, it's bonkers. Give it double strike. Good
Mm-hmm.
lord, 3 turns and the game is over. It's quick. If
Yeah.
you don't buff him, it's still fair. But if you give him double strike,
Yeah.
and there's a ton of ways to do that we just talked about, he gets beefy real quick. Thoughts?
Yeah, this is a card you want to pair with other cards that are gonna buff it. Like I was just messing around with what's the little cat from Caverns of Ixalan? That thing that gives your players or your creatures a buff every time they attack.
I
And
can't
then
remember.
obviously like Titan's Vanguard, Golden Tail Trainer, things like that are going to be
Yeah.
great for it. But yeah, Sovereign, what's it called? The cat. But um, the way
Someone,
that one works
chat,
is
help us out, bro. We're floundering here. I don't remember.
yeah.
Don't ever ask me to remember cards. I can never remember freaking cards. I never remember them.
But anyway, yeah, if you have that
Okeanik?
card out and
Okeanik?
Okenek, yeah, that's
Okeanik.
one. Okenek, or however you say it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that one you attack, and then your creatures all get a buff according to the highest hit points or
Mm-hmm.
power
Mm-hmm.
that your creature has. So that's just going to be like quadrupling the attack power that you
Yeah.
get pretty quickly. So yeah, it's a pretty awesome card. There is a lot of waiting for things to get really big with it. But as long as you put it with other cards that grow this thing quickly, then yeah, it gets out of control really fast.
Let's talk a second about exhaust, shall we? First off, this
Okay.
ability, exhaust, your creatures get plus Y. Y is equal to this card's level. So you strike, right? On your
Mm-hmm.
turn, let's say I'm up to a 13/13, right? Whatever, on the creatures.
Mm-hmm.
I strike, I got a 13/13 in my level, right? I exhaust, so I exile a card from hand. All my other creatures get +13/+13 to their power. So
Mm-hmm.
that's significant. That around turn 4 or 5, or I should say around attack 3 or 4 for Pima is when you exile and exhaust and give your other creatures that power. That's usually enough to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exhaust as a mechanic, I like asterisk. I
Right.
love the ability to do the thing. I wished it were more than one thing.
Yeah.
I wish you could do it 2 times or 3 times. And I understand how that could get out of hand quickly, but I just think there's got to be something more, some condition to reset it besides having the creature leave the board, because a lot of times the exhaust impact positively impacts that card. So for it to leave and come back in, erases the benefit you had from before and doesn't go from there. Or if you reinforce it by an actual casting of a card, not just enters battlefield, but casting, that resets that exhaust ability. Something like that would allow us to do it more than once. And I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
paper does it once, so I have no idea. Maybe it does.
Mm.
If you guys can chime in and let me know, that would be great. Um, yeah, but that's my thoughts on that. I think exhaust on this card is really good because you're not going to
Mm-hmm.
need it a second time. You're going to use it the one time. You're going to get more than enough beef. You're going to win. It is win more, but it saves you a turn or two uh, from having to wait. It's more like a conditional win con or an easy button for win con is my thought on that. Any thoughts on exhaust or anything else here?
Yeah, I have to confess, like a really stupid thing I was doing with the exhaust that I realized not too long ago. I thought exhaust sucked because I was only using it with the new loot, the one you get
Mm-hmm.
from the collector box.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought exhaust like always exiles all the cards in your hand, or what does it do? Discards or whatever.
It
So I
discards
thought,
your
oh,
cards. You draw 6 cards and gain 12 mana or
yeah.
something like that.
And I just thought that's what exhaust was you discard all your cards in your hand to trigger exhaust. I was just
That
like,
would
what
be
the hell?
actually
This
pretty sick. I would love that. That would loop like crazy. It'd be all kinds of crazy. Everything would cost less than 4 mana, and you just go that route. Mid Carter talks that paper it is only once in paper as well. So, but the difference
Mm.
in paper is if I cast a creature and I cast another creature, I've got two sets of that creature. They don't stack on top of each other.
Oh,
So
really?
in
Okay.
paper, I can actually do each one of them individually and get that benefit. Not in PQ, it's different. So there has to be some considerations made there to adjust that, in my
Mm.
opinion, from a game design
Yeah,
standpoint.
maybe there was a way to like recover your I don't know, stamina so that you can use exhaust again. Maybe it takes a few turns to use it again or
Well, I
something.
mean,
I don't know.
I think even just reinforcing the creature, right? And not
Yeah.
reinforcing, but casting a creature. Like if it's reinforced
Oh,
by
right.
cast,
Yeah.
then it resets
Yeah,
it. Something like that.
that's how I thought it would work, but I guess it does not. You
No,
gotta
it's
get rid of that exhausted emblem somehow.
yeah, and there's not even any mechanics that get rid of the exhausted emblem. Like there's no
Well, you could
built-in
like
mechanics that.
blink the creature back, right?
But then you
You can
lose
do
the
it that
plus.
way.
Like if you're bonusing, like if you're Voltroning a creature with all the benefits, you
Oh,
exile and bring it
yeah,
back, it
exactly.
loses all. It resets it anyway. So it's
That's
still
true.
not. It's
Never
a
mind.
waste of
Yeah.
time. Priest of the that's enough. Priest of the Crossing, 17 mono, white, 3/3 flying zombie bird cleric. When this creature enters the battlefield, fetch the first vehicle card from your library. That card gains full mana. Is there any other vehicle outside of Allstrider's whatever?
Not that I could think of.
There's not very many, if any, at all outside of that. That one gives you a free spell every turn. Yes, please and thank you. I'll take it. I don't
Yeah.
even play with that card, but if I'm gonna choose a vehicle, that's the one I'm choosing because they didn't give us many
Right.
great vehicles outside of the Glass Gear Hulk, Glass Blight Gear Hulk or whatever that is. That
Is
guy's
that a
awesome.
vehicle though?
Yeah, there are vehicles. All the Gear Hulks are vehicles
Are
historically
they?
and
I thought
now.
they were just constructs.
Let me double check. They done mess up vehicle again. Valor is good. There's at least one card that allows you to use
Valor.
exile.
Oh yeah, I messed around with Valor a little bit.
Uh,
Valor's cool, but it's like another one of those cards like Fire Shrieker where it's like, do I
yeah.
have room in
Oh,
my hand
Nalthazar's
or
here.
in
What's
my
up,
deck
Nalthi?
for
Sorry, I didn't mean to
this?
cut you off. Nalthi's here
We
watching. He's
need the
lurking.
boom ship taste back, yeah.
Yeah.
Possession
Uh,
Engine, I love Possession Engine. I just talked about it earlier on the
yeah.
stream.
No artifacts. He likes that. All right, back to this card. When this creature enters battlefield, fetch a yada yada, gets full mana. I like full mana, but it's like, oh hey, that wiffle ball bat. You want to use that in combat? Go, you can pull one of those. You get to use it for free. It's like, yeah, but I don't really want that.
Yeah.
At the beginning of each combat, creatures you control get plus X plus X. X is the number of vehicle cards you control, including their reinforcements. Come on, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? We're gonna have what 3 on the board, so you're gonna get a +3/+3. That's a lot for 17 mana and a 3/3 body. It's not good enough. What's up,
I
Malthazar?
agree.
Good to see you, dude. I just not good enough for me. Not chase worthy. I think it could be a role player in certain things. Maybe the zombie thing can be an effect, and the bird thing can be an effect. But whatever. It's a cleric, so we can get it out with Dungeon Master.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I know everybody does. Aetherflux Conduit, 15 mana, level for colorless artifact. When you cast a spell card, increase this card's level by X. X is equal to that card's cost. So 3 or 4, I do the math, 4 25 casting cost cards, like full throttle. It's full power, baby.
Hmm.
At the beginning of your turn, if this card's level is 100, it should be 50. You may discard
Hmm.
your hand and draw 6 cards. If you do, cards in your hand cost 0 to cast until the end of your turn. Then this card's level becomes 1. This becomes an easy auto add to Looper decks, but does it help? So it doesn't get added to Looper decks. It get added to pseudo Looper decks. Cards that can go maybe 4 or 5 spells deep and then stop.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all the Gearhawks are all just constructs. Never mind. I take back what I said before. It's a trash card. Don't chase it. If you get it and pull it for your pack, just delete the app and don't reload it. Spend 100 mana on spells you should have already. Yeah, and Nalthazar has a
Yeah,
great
that's the
point.
main problem with the card. Like if you're able to consistently like get this to 100, you don't need it.
Yeah, you won the game more. It's win more. So
Hmm.
again, my immediate thought is, well, I can loop and get the thing. It's like, yeah, but if you're looping, you don't need the thing. So it's a win more kind of card.
Right.
These like this one, and I was just looking at the Millennium Clock. Well, you got to get
Yeah,
to 100
Millennium
charges.
Calendar.
I love that as a concept. 100 is too many. Hey, Webcore, it's too many. We want to win with it now. What is the average? We got to do some statistical data. Where's Lars? You're the stat man now. Don't be a hater,
Oh
man.
no.
Uh,
God, I'm terrible at math too.
no, no, too late. You already said you were doing analytics, so I'm outsourcing this to you. What is the average turn win rate right now in standard meta?
Mine or just in general?
What's yours? And I would like to know in general. Hey, in chat, how many turns does it take you to win? Now, if you're somebody like Zipvert or who else is Opera Stomper does this too. Oppie plays like these long control matches where he'll play one match for like
hmm
40 turns, and I'm like, why in the world are you? What? That's not fun. I want 3 turns. You get 3 turns. I'm like Bernie Mac with a woman. You got 5 minutes. Hurry up. That's it, man. I want to win. So for me, my average turn rate right now is 4 or 5 turns max is about where I'm at. My overall
Okay.
average prior
Yeah.
to the last couple sets was about 9, 8 or 9,
Okay.
7 really.
Yeah. If I'm just like quick battle, trying to win quickly, my average is like 4 to 7, like RNG kind of factored into that. So yeah, something like that.
I see you, man. I see you. Yeah. So I think on average, I'd probably say 7 turns, maybe 8 is my guesstimate, and as a result of that, uh, this becomes ineffective.
Right.
This and Millennial Calendar is ineffective. Territorial Aetherkite. This is a chase card.
I
I
don't
don't
have
have
this
it
one
on
yet.
either of my accounts, but when this creature enters the battlefield, it gets plus X plus O until end of turn. X is the number of creatures and creature reinforcements you control up to 25. Then boost to if deals damage equal to its power to opponent's planeswalker and to the first opposing creature. That's full throttle in a self-pumping creature stat. This is, and I don't have it yet, so I can't test this. Nalthazar, do you have this card? But
I
when I
believe he
get this
does. He got
card,
it as the spoiler, right?
no, he didn't spoil this, did he? How
I
come he
thought he
got to
did.
spoil the fun one and I had to get the?
I know.
Actually, that's not true. Ketramaz is actually pretty good.
Just be happy
Ketramaz.
you didn't have to spoil Bosri.
I pulled it, so it doesn't matter, right? Doesn't generate cards and needs a board state to work. Not great. I okay. So Nalthazar says not great. I think I can do something with it that would be very much like full throttle, where full throttle I don't need it to win. I can just go swing and win with the way I build it up, but I don't wanna. So even if actually, I'll tell you where I found. Well, we'll get to full throttle here in a minute. We're going to talk about it specifically, um, and an interesting playstyle I have with it, and why I actually prefer it over swinging for game, which is still something you can do. I still think this is a chase card. I don't have it yet. After I get it and I play with it, much like Nissa, I'll probably feel like yeah, it's a role player, not necessarily a broken card all on its own. So, what's up, Eric? How are you, man? What's up? Thoughts on this? You don't have it, right?
uh, I don't have it yet. It seems pretty straightforward. I mean, just like build up a bunch of tokens and use it to swing with this guy.
Hey,
So
what's
I don't
what's
know.
the what's the card in Duskmorn that reinforces but actually acts like a brand new card cast? The one we both
Oh,
said.
extravagant replication.
Okay, extravagant replication. Everyone, listen here. Not you, Webcore. Everyone here, listen. um, extravagant replication doesn't reinforce your creature. It treats it as an enters battlefield effect. It triggers the enters battlefield effects.
Yeah,
So you get this
freaking
with
awesome
that,
card.
and this works really, really well. You said, "Oh, it's actually a really good card," and I'm like, whatever. And I started playing with it, just mastering cards, and that's when it dawned. I'm like, oh, that's actually really amazing. You're not going to get by going turn 3 most games. You would need a turn 1 haste critter, turn 2 double striker. Uh, let's see. You don't. You stay in your own lane, bro. Let me do my thing. On Wings of Gold, 12 months. Anyways, I think that card's a chase card. I will have more on that later on. 1 vote for Chase. 2 vote for Chase, yes.
um,
Mid,
to be determined.
TBD. And Nalthazar
Yeah.
says not as great, so I'm assuming it's not Chase. And as a result,
Uh,
you've got across the board. I don't own it, so I don't know, and neither does Mainloop. So there
yeah.
you go. Trust Nalthazar, he's smarter than me. On the Wings of Gold, 12 mana, white, enchantment, 4 shield. At the beginning of your turn, your
Have you
creature
messed with
tokens
this
get
card?
+1/+1. No, I don't have it. For each of
Oh,
their
okay.
reinforcements. So at the beginning of your turn, your creature tokens get +1/+1 for each of their reinforcements. That's bonkers in itself in that one line.
That's
Um,
true.
But then in addition to that, if
Oh,
you
that's
control the
permanent
zombie
too.
creature, zombie creatures you control gain flying until the beginning of your next turn. When this card leaves your graveyard, create a white zombie token. Insert me playing that one single note riff.
Yeah.
Not 1060. All right, anyways, that's enough. What do you got? uh,
This card can be insane. I messed around with it a little bit with Aminatu because if you exile your graveyard, you're creating tons of white zombies. The problem is freaking token animations. They got to get that fixed before I play these mass token generators because
and I
without
think that's
that,
part of the reason they won't fix it is so that we don't have tokens running rampant in the streets. The problem is that
God, I
still
hope that's
people
not the case.
I know people still build these token decks, and we have to sit through them when we're like, especially like if I'm playing in anything that's not important, just quit and go start a different game. I'm not gonna sit through your animations. But in events and they're playing this and it's standard, it's like, oh, just shoot me. Why does Nalthazar like tokens? I hate it. White zombie, that's a new token creature, so that's 100% chase. The hunter says, "Hey, that's a different token than we have before. That's a chase card for me."
That's hilarious.
And removes. So Roy says, "Rare Krenko reinforces a ton and removes the unholy thingy OTJ lands and has haste. So maybe. Okay. You'll play.
Oh, are you talking about with ether?
Aetherkite. This
Uh,
guy.
yeah, etherkite. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
But Nalthazar, that's a good point. Yeah, it really just works with anybody who's if you're able to exile your graveyard in any uh planeswalker, then I think it's more due to the cards. But just Aminatu already has that built in where it's like
Yeah.
kind of exiling, but you have to kind of build for that either way. So maybe not. Maybe Kaya's probably actually the better one there. But yeah,
Actually,
it's just really
keep
mass
flying.
exile or mass destroy your library and then play something like Cease or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then create tons of zombies and just watch your hair grow because you're going to be sitting there for a while.
You make a swap, you set your phone down, you cook breakfast, you pick it back
Yeah,
up, you click
exactly.
confirm, end loop, good game. That's what you do.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to talk about this
Temet.
card. I love this card.
Yeah. Go for it,
12,
man.
yeah, I'm a man. I got him. I got him. Temet. So everybody was in my Discord server. If you're not in the server, you should get into the server. Link in the description in the bio, so you can get in there and we talk all things nerds. We'll support you. The best players in the game are there. Nalthazar, myself, Maine, all the other guys are in there. Hunter's in there. It's just a good group of dudes and gals, ladies. We appreciate you. I know you're a smaller percentage of the populace, but we respect and appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Um, and I was like, you guys are poo-pooing on the set. There are several cards in here that are actually really good. And I first brought out this guy, Temnet Noctamun's Will, whatever. 12 mana, Vigilance Menace, 4/4, 3 color. So, Meeting of the Five gets it for you. White, blue, and black. Zombie Wizard. When your first creature attacks, draw a card, then gain 7 mana. Cool, that's neat. That's neat.
It,
When you
it comes in
draw,
handy.
yeah, it does. It's a nice little thing to just any card is in first, any card in your hand costs 7 mana less. That's in the top position, right? That's just great. That's
Hmm.
good. But this next line, when you draw a
Hmm.
card, reinforce all zombie creatures you control. Period. Right?
Yeah.
Period. I love that. Now there are a
Yeah.
few zombies in standard right now that are good. This is an immediate legacy impactor. You go talk about Gear
Oh
Hulk,
yeah.
right? Combustible Gear Hulk, and you have this, and
Oh
then some
yeah.
other
Uh-huh.
zombie that goes in, and you're just drawing cards. That loop that goes in there, you're just reinforcing your zombie creature, whatever it is. You have some other big zombie creature. What's the zombie that when he enters battlefield, he creates other zombies, and when he attacks, he creates other zombies. I always use him in my zombie
Yeah,
array.
what's it called again? Is it that mythic from
He's just a big
what
dude.
set is that from? I think
Yeah,
it might be like Dominaria or something like the original Dominaria.
yeah,
Uh but yeah, no, this card is awesome. I can't believe like I totally missed it when I first was going through the set
great.
because I think that was I didn't understand that it was the reinforcements were permanent because they don't usually do that for us. But
Yeah,
no, you pair this card with a doubling season. Have you done that
I
yet?
don't have doubling season. No,
What?
I
How?
do in my main. I sorry, I do. I have a main account. I'm in my alt account. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
have it here.
Oh, all
I
right.
was looking at I
Yeah.
was looking at my chase cards in my main account or in my alt account, and I remembered I don't. I do have it. I don't play with double seizing much, just because it's one of those things where I think it can do what it not. It's do I make room for the engine or do I make room for a buffer? Right, like that's a buffer versus
Fair
an engine
enough.
that draws. I think there's room. I just got to fiddle with it. I think it does enough that it can get it done. I just think this thing doubling is great. Now, Nalthazar had a great point. I'm sorry, you finish your thing and I'll talk about Nalthazar point.
Oh no, I was gonna say, if you double this, like if you use this with doubling season, um, it seems to be doubling like the amount of reinforcements you already have on it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jasu, that's
when I
good.
attack, it goes from like a 60 something or whatever to like 130, like in a snap, just because I
Insane.
attacked with it.
Right. You set it down, but it's good. It's great. I love just everything about this card has so many different ways to get it done. And what Nalthazar said too
Hmm.
was there are so many different ways to make creatures zombies. So I said this
Yeah.
in our server too. Make
Uh
Galta
huh.
a zombie. Bruh.
Uh huh. Yeah.
Never mind the ETB conversion. A 15/15 doubling with every card draw.
Hmm.
Let's friggin' go, man.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been
I love this
pairing this
card.
with Zul Ashur, that
Uh-huh.
zombie maker
Yeah.
from the last set.
Yep.
Yeah, that's been great.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's just absolutely a chase card, guys. Go after it. It's a lot.
Hmm.
And more important than that, it's a winning card. You can win. It's a good
Yeah,
solid win con, and it's fun. It's a lot of
yeah.
fun.
Also, it's got a vigilance and menace, so it can block for you, and it can get past like a Vindicator or a
Yep.
Sabsunin or anything like that. So
Chef's kiss. Uh,
fantastic.
so far, I think my favorite creature outside of the glass Yada glass cannon Gearhulk, because I don't have that one yet. Um, when I do, I'll let you
By
know.
far the most surprising.
Yeah, yeah. This is a sleeper. This is one that probably I wouldn't have slept on it. As soon as I saw zombie creatures, draw and reinforce, I would have been like, yes,
Mm.
let's go. But I didn't see it because I didn't get a
Right.
enough of a spoiler season time for that to have with the Facebook post. Drog Skull Riva, 10 mana, flying, double strike, lifelink, 3/5. I missed the double strike. That actually makes his body good. That means he's a
Okay.
6/10 basically. Blue, white, spirits. When you gain life for the first time on your turn, draw a card. If you can't, convert 4 gems to blue gems.
Hmm. Interesting.
So
So
you
if
have
you
a
start with the full hand,
full
you
hand. You
convert four
right.
gems to blue at your turn.
So you get the cards in hand you
Okay.
want that have space for root mana. Yeah, yeah. I mean, by default, it's clunky. Just the creature itself, a 3/5 with double strike, lifelink, flying for 10 is solid
That's
in
pretty
two
good.
colors. That's a good creature.
Yeah.
That's a really good creature. Uh, if you can make it a zombie and you're reinforcing it, right? With Chemnet, was that what it? Yeah, Temment,
Damn it.
Temant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Then you're getting some insanity there. It's pretty good. But I think it's a good solid card. I think the effects are janky. Um, I know Nalthazar. Double strike. It's like he's here annoying me, but he's not here annoying me. He's all double strike doesn't double toughness. I know. I was being silly. I was just saying. Double strike actually gives you infinite toughness because if you kill them before they actually get a chance to deal damage to you, what good does it matter? You're impenetrable, right? To penetrate your body. So there you go. Is it a chase worthy? I don't think so. I think it's a good card. But I'd have to see. I think this could be like we discussed earlier, one of those role player cards that
Uh-huh.
in your set that once you get it and it fits in a specific deck builds, it becomes a
Yeah.
pivotal piece that keeps you in the game with life until you can set your combos up and your win cons.
Yeah, I would pair it with things like a Chimil, Dragonhawk, anything that gives you a bunch of cards at the end of your turn so that you have a full hand
Great
and then you're
call.
converting it to
That way,
blue
see,
gems.
that was the thing I was thinking is like I don't want to. I don't like holding back my casts for no reason. I don't like to
Hmm.
wait on Greg to do a thing, and I don't like to mute my hand down so I don't cast stuff. And then I don't like having stuff with full mana in my hand and not casting
Hmm.
because like, why is it there then? What I could put something else that's functionally making an impact to the board right away. So that's a great catch to throw in Chimmel in there and then to draw those cards up at the end of the turn. Aurelia,
Hmm.
the law above, or
Aurelia's
Aurelia
probably a good one
Vindicator.
too
Yeah, oh yeah, Aurelia law above because you're drawing the cards too. Yeah,
because
there's
you're
a lot of good
drawing.
ways to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, it's the other one too because you're getting the 2 cards in exile into hand. Aurelius Vindicator, such a great card, man. Oh my god, I love that card. It just, whatever's in the bottom of your hand, you take 2. They're full mana. Next turn you get them for free, whatever. Pia Nalar, Chief Mechanic. 10 mana, legendary, 2/4, 3 color, blue, red, green. Human Artificer. I almost read. Anyways, I'll tell you later. When a creature you control deals combat damage, if you control a vehicle card, your vehicle supports gain 2 shield. Then your first creature gains trample. At the end of your turn, create an Alar Aetherjet token, and that is a support. I don't have this card. Artifact vehicle 2. At the beginning of your turn, create a racer pilot token. If you control a pilot, your first pilot creature gets +X instead of X is equal to the highest shield among supports you control. Okay, is
Okay.
this bugged, Roy? I think you were saying that. And we have objectives for those subtypes. A good point. Roy, do you have
That
this?
Etherjet,
How
I
do you
can
think?
see some potential there, but I don't know.
How do you think Gear Chomp X will impact the meta main? Hold on. Wait, Nalthazar. Let's talk about this card first, then we'll answer your question. When a creature you control deals combat damage, if you control a vehicle card, your vehicle supports gain 2 shield. Okay, so all 3 attack, you get all the shield counters, right? Then your first creature gains trample permanently, period. At the end of your turn, create an Alar Aetherjet token. That's at the end of your turn, so you get another support that's a vehicle. So you don't need to have a vehicle in your deck. This is 100% self-contained.
Yeah.
I like that. It gives you an additional token, so you're only running 2 creatures in your build theoretically, right? I don't know if I like
Yeah.
that because you're getting the pilot token,
The
right?
pilot. Uh-huh.
And you need to have room for that because he's the one that's going to get that. And note about pilots and all that other stuff, they don't have the same vehicle things as they did before, where they have like Pilot 2, and then when you
Oh, sure,
destroy
sure.
the triggered gem or the activated gem, then you can move that
Mm-hmm.
pilot. It doesn't work that way anymore, not on these new cards. So I kind of miss that. Um, I don't
Hmm.
know. I don't know. Hunter, are you still here? Did you have this card and you said it was bugged?
Oh, is it bugged?
Yeah, actually, I watched a video on his. That's what it was. It's bugged
Oh.
in that it's not giving the bonus to the pilot, or at least it was. I don't know if they fixed it. It
Hmm.
wasn't giving the
Okay.
bonuses to the. You had to wait like a turn and a half or 2 turns, and then it gave it to it for whatever reason, but it didn't happen on the same
That's
turn. I
weird.
don't know what it was. But as a whole, for 10 mana, it's a small-bodied creature. It doesn't have anything else outside of what it's creating with the rest of its stuff, and you do keep the power of those creatures. And does the Aether Jet? Yeah, see,
Mm-hmm.
the Aether Jet thing sticks around. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm kind of
I think
processing
it
the
could
math.
be. I see a lot of potential in this card.
I do too. The creature itself is, bolt bait basically. Um, but once it's
Yeah.
dead, you still have the positive impact from both the Aether Jet token, the support, and you also have the support of the creature itself if they didn't do a full
Mm-hmm.
board wipe, and it still creates
True.
those tokens itself. So it's self-funding, if that makes sense, self-sufficient. I like that. Bonus 2 turn later. Uh, it gave the bonus 2 turns later. That's what he was saying. Okay, the hunter
That's so
saying that about the.
weird. How
It
the
is
hell that?
weird. Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Um, Seems like the pairing of the newest Chandra. It's interesting. I'm curious to see once they get it fixed if it's going to make a big difference or not. But I don't know if it's chased or not. I don't have it. I haven't played with it at all. But I'm curious to see what it does. Windfall. I really want to like this card, dude. 8 mana, blue, black. Is it blue, black? No, just blue. Mono blue spell card. Each player discards their hand and draws X cards, then gain X mana. X is the number of cards discarded this way. I just, I don't, I, there's a card to pair this with, which is Deconstruction Bay, my bay.
Oh, repurposing bay? Yeah.
Repurposing Bay, thank you. Repurposing Bay. When you discard a card,
Uh-huh.
you draw a card. So you always
Yeah.
discard a card from the back end. So if I have 4
Hmm.
cards in hand and they all have mana, I don't want to ditch my cards. But if I have my Bay
Yeah.
on board, right? I draw. Each player discards their hand, so I ditch my 4th card. I
Hmm.
draw a card. I ditch my 4th
Hmm.
card. I draw a card, and it continues to do that.
Right.
And I leave my top 3 alone until I go through
Hmm.
4. and then I gain the mana on top of that.
Hmm.
Those two paired together, solid. Anything with this
Yeah.
card, Time Raveler,
Time
yada,
reversal.
yeah,
Yeah.
Time Reversal. I like Time Reversal better because I get mana based on the blue gems on the board, so I think it's
Yeah, I do
functionally
too.
better. But this could be a good card paired with that. Without that, I don't know that I'm sold on it yet. What do you think?
Yeah, without that being a pairing, it's more of like a disruptor card. I
Yeah.
feel like you're mostly playing it to screw with your opponent's hand, in this case, and people like playing those cards. They're not my favorite. I mean, I like time reversal because it gives you a lot of net benefit on your end, so
Mm-hmm.
I like it more for that reason. But um, I could see some people really liking this card. It's probably not. It's not really my style.
Yeah, it is mine, and I don't know how to break it yet, and I guess that's my contention. I'll figure it out, and I don't have it yet, so I haven't played with it and see how it works as is. Now, Balthazar, any thoughts as I move on? Uh, Aetheric Amplifier, 7 mana, boost for support card artifact. Is this the first boost card we've looked at? At the beginning of your turn,
Is it?
convert 3
Oh,
gems to one of the colors of the greatest mana bonuses, boost 3. At the beginning of the combat in your turn, your first creature gets plus X plus X. X is the number of creatures and creature reinforcements you control up to 15. That's solid for 7 mana. It's actually a very good card in token heavy creature decks. And the beginning is it converting 3 gems to the colors of your greatest mana bonuses. So that's great. Why is that plural? It's
wait,
just a
which
one.
one?
It's just a one of the your card's greatest mana bonuses. All right. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like a kind of a baby cryptics, I think,
Yeah, for 7
with a
mana
little bit of
too.
an
It's
upside.
it's cheap. It's good to get out. This works well. It's colorless, so it'll go on just about any build. The boost
Hmm.
ability 3 is pretty good at the beginning of the combat on your turn. If your first creature gets plus X plus X, X is the number of creatures you control, including yada yada. So I think it's a solid little card. I think if you're a newer to
Hmm.
mid-level player and you're pulling this, this has a lot of functionality that you can do with it. It is an artifact. It's not a vehicle, so I mean, all right.
Hmm.
Let's talk about Boost. We haven't talked about Boost yet. What do you think about Boost so far now that you've played with it a little bit?
It's okay. I don't like that it caps at 7,
Mm-hmm.
but it's fairly easy to get the boost level up, and as far as I know, it's permanent, right?
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't go back down.
Does not go backwards.
So yeah, okay. So I like that about it. So all you have to do is just have a way to get your boost up to max level, and you can do everything you want with it. Um, yeah, that's really the only thing, is that you need to spend a few turns maybe getting it to the boost you wanted to. But once you're there, there's some cards with some pretty decent boost effects. Most of them are at the higher rarity level. Like there are a ton of cards in uncommon and common levels that have boost, but they don't really do a lot. So it makes it seem like the mechanic is worse than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's an all right mechanic. I don't have any issues with it really.
I think this one at that speed too, at 3, is very effective. And there's some that give you mana, like the Samet card gives you mana based
Yeah.
on the
Uh-huh.
speed that you
Which is
have.
not bad.
It's really good. You just keep one of those cards in hand without full mana, and it does really well. I like that card. It's a nice little role player. Plus, it's a body if you need it as a backup. So I run it as a 4th creature in builds that I tested with it, and that seems to work well. I'll have a video out on that soon for you guys. But yeah, I think this is solid. I think this is a fun little card. I think it's really good. Is it chase? Still to be determined. I think you're gonna find this one as, oh, I got an 8th or ninth slot open for this. What would be good? This is a nice, easy slot in. It's cheap. It's functional. It gets you mana. It does all the things you want it to. It doesn't get in the way. It's low to the ground. I
Yeah.
like it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's just a nice, like if you're somebody who plays with a lot of gem conversion and you're a
Mm-hmm.
mono color walker type of
Mm-hmm.
guy, like this cryptics and leyline is like that's all the mana you'll ever need probably. So I think
Yeah.
it's a good piece in those types of decks.
Nalthazar wrote a paragraph. Let me read it. There's a lot of discard archetype love in this set, and that card is a nice pair with it. I agree. Low cost disrupts your opponent and gives you mana. Yeah, it's hard to argue with it when it does those things. Discarding yourself is
Hmm.
a slow archetype, so that card could be a solid extra add. But time reversal, as you guys say, is just better. He's talking about
Yeah, he's talking
windfall.
about windfall. Yeah.
Windfall. Okay, yeah, for sure. I again, I've talked about this before. I'll say it again. For cards that actually force your opponent to ditch cards, incredibly effective for strategic play against your opponent. If you wait till they have some mana in hand without, a Greg Loop that or Cascade that just gets full mana to his hand, he has, that first card position. You know it's a creature. You do things that wipe his hand, like time reversal or this. Those become incredible control and pace control that allow you to run your slower, funner decks in a defensive mode, and I really like them. Final card here is Galvanic Blast. Another 7 mana red spell card. Deal 7 damage to target creature and 7 damage to your opponent's planeswalker. If you control an artifact card, which most of us will, and that can be tokens, it doesn't have to be a hard cast card, deal 14 damage
Hmm.
instead to each of those. What do you think of this card?
I don't have it yet. It seems like just an all right red spell. Like I like that it's cheap. Kind of reminds me a little bit of back in the day. What was it? What was that card? It
The
was a
blue
red
red one?
card that like if you had certain amount of red gems on the board, it would come back to your hand.
Oh,
And
I can't remember that one. It feels like that was in Kaladesh too. It feels like it was in that set, something like that.
yeah, sometime like way back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those cards where it's a nice little splash to put into cards or into decks that
Yeah.
you're running spell heavy, like creatureless type of red burn builds.
I was
It's
just about
probably
to
fine
say,
there.
I think what we have ignored and what hasn't been prevalent for a while now is red burn. And I think we
Hmm.
got enough stuff now that we can. This
I think
card is
so.
surprisingly fun. It's easy. It's really easy to hit. The 14 mana cost is low, so you can hit your own creature for damage objectives, and it still pings your opponents with the other part. Yeah, as long as they're not, as long as they're not like Liliana of the Veil, like who would run that in events? Ugh, disgusting. And she keeps pinging herself, so you can't hit her, so or else you'll lose because she dies too quickly. But yeah, other than that, I agree with you now. I think this is a really good card. It isn't great, but it's solid. Damage creature objective 10. It's B10. So yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. It does hit that.
somebody was talking about I think it was the Althazar server where we were just talking about like the most annoying cards to play, and one of them was Torpor Orb. I was like, I haven't played that in a while, and the only time Torpor Orb actually is good is when you play it with like creatureless, like no creatures, no supports, just spells.
Hmm.
So I was thinking, I was trying to build like just Chandra red burn deck, and this would actually probably be pretty good in it because
Yeah,
you're
for
an
sure.
artifact. Torpor Orb is an artifact, so you're going to be doing 14 damage every time you play it.
Nice.
So,
Good catch. No,
but
I dig it. I think it's great. I think it's a fun card. I think it's a nice little red burn spell to add into that. We're going to go quicker through the
mhm.
mythics here, real quick. We're just going to say one word. We're not going to read them. We'll only read the ones we think are chase. I have
Okay.
this bad card. I don't think it's very good. Thoughts?
It's cool. It's not a chase, but it's cool.
Okay. That has full mana art. Mime Plasm Revered one. This is a good card. If you haven't played with this and you have this, it's a good card. I enjoy it. Thoughts?
Yeah, I've only played with it a little bit. I was like, oh, this is actually like a pretty decent card. I
Yeah.
I still need to really mess with it and figure it out.
It's not as strong as Pima, but it's in the same vein in that it's not a railway brawler where it just gets out of hand insanely quick.
Yeah.
It does get big fairly quickly. It'll take 4 to 5 turns to get where you want it to go, versus
Yeah.
like Galta, you can do it in a turn, or railway brawler, you can do it in 1 turn. Uh,
The Activate 3 is pretty cool too.
yeah, yeah. Okay with that. Yep. All right. Bright Glass Gearhulk. This is one we don't have. This is in the other set for purchase. I think this is a chase card. I don't have it yet.
Yeah.
None of the content creators got this. So
Yeah.
this is
I
the
know
only way to
Kilroy's
get this
got
right
it,
now
but
is you got to pay money for it. So if you guys want insights on how it plays and some deck builds, Roy Byrne is actually inside of our Discord under the name Kilroy's his gamer name, and he's got a deck he shared in there that everyone thinks is pretty fun. So you should go check it out. Get in the Discord server and
nice.
check it and see it out. There is a full art version of it, so at some point Fibblethip will have it. I'm
Hmm.
anticipating it won't be until the next set drops, but whatever. Call me a bit of a pessimist. These are all exclusives. Let's get past the exclusives.
That's sweet. Some of the
Valor's
art is
flagship.
sweet.
This is an exclusive, and I actually like this. I like this card
Yeah,
quite a
this one's a
bit.
BFTA exclusive though, so anybody can go get it if
Yeah,
they want.
for sure. So this is available to you
This
right
card
now in
is cool.
BFTA. Yeah, I dig it. The first
It's
strike
got
and lifelink,
it's got double
massive.
duty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the life link is good. Cycling, it'll surprise you sometimes if you cycle at the wrong time
You
and you
forget
drain
that it has the
14
cycling.
mana.
Yeah, you're like, no, I was about to
But
cast it, and then you get the pilot tokens. You're like, it's actually kind of okay.
right.
The tokens are beefy. I think this is a good card. Is it Chase? I think this is one of those ones where you get it and it plays a role and you're mastering it and it has all the things. Like this is a pretty perfect little card. It does all the things you want to. Like it's such a unique role player,
Hmm.
and it can do a little bit of everything. It's a great card. I think it's one that you would run with. I don't have this one. I think this is Chase. Is one I am still chasing. When you discard a card, create a gold
I
token.
still need to actually build around it, but it's definitely got potential. When you discard a card, create a gold token. In
Yeah.
certain decks, that's a lot of gold you're going to be making.
Yeah, well, just like we were talking about with
Yeah,
repurposing
windfall and all
Bay,
that. Yeah.
repurposing
Oh,
Bay,
repurposing
Windfall,
bay too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're just constantly drawing those cards and keeping your hand full. You love this card. I'm gonna let you talk about it. Bloodghast, 16 mana,
This card is
uh,
fun. Yeah.
haste, 10/2 black, vampire spirit. This creature can't block. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if your opponent has 50 life or less, this creature gains death touch until the end of turn. Why? What does that matter?
I mean, I don't
When you
care about
cast a
that, but
land
yeah.
card, this is the real part. When you cast a land card, if this card is in your graveyard, return this card from your graveyard to play into play under your control with haste. Continue.
Although the death touch, our favorite archpriest, there's some synergy there.
Right? Yeah.
Uh, But yeah, I like this card. I feel like Black hasn't had a card like this in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a beefy, hasty creature that can do a lot of damage quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a very good grist include. I have
Mm.
a deck that just like completely fills my grave because of six in Hauntwoods. I really like it paired in that deck. And then I just have ways to pull lands from my library and play them. So this card gets into play really big and really quickly. So
Nice.
yeah, awesome card. And it's got haste, which is very relevant right now.
It is, especially in black. There's not a lot of haste in black,
Hmm.
outside of Gitrog, right? Most everything
Mm.
else is not with haste. March of the World
Yeah,
is
I'm sure
16 mana.
Nalthazar's figured out something nifty with it too. It's like his favorite card from the set. So
Oh, which one? The Bloodghast?
Bloodghast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will speak on it, Nalthazar. So fun, he says. March of the World Ooze. I'm not impressed with it. Elephant token, whatever. What is it? 3/3. Yeah, it's a 3/3. I'm not really impressed with
Yeah,
this
I messed
team.
with it a little bit. Was pretty underwhelmed.
Okay. Won't discuss on it. Samet is a exclusive for purchase right now. Haste,
Oh, is it
boost,
collector box?
legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the first strike, vigilance. She's just a beefcake, and if you reinforce her a couple times, she's bonkers. For 16 mana, she's
Hmm.
pretty good. Here's the
Yeah, she's
thing.
good. She's not like super OP. I don't think she's gonna be like top meta or anything like that, but she is a very solid role player.
That's a lot of abilities, man. That's a lot of abilities
Yeah.
that if she's just in the background and you're running your main thing and she's an extra card that's in there for a creature
Right.
slot fill,
Yeah,
she's gonna
exactly.
wreck. She's gonna wreck some games
Super good
against
role
you.
player. Hmm.
Yeah. But it's the text that's actually very interesting. At the beginning of your turn, if this card's in your hand and doesn't have full mana, reduce the cost of each
Hmm.
spell and support card in your hand by X until the beginning of your next turn. Your boost can go all the way up to 7. So you're essentially reducing the cost of every spell and support
Hmm.
in hand by 7. And if you're running a low to the ground impact cards and spells and stuff, you're basically just casting stuff for free on that turn. It's pretty
Yeah.
significant, or at least at a significant discount. Um,
Yeah. I have to admit, I haven't really explored this creature to its full potential. I'm
mhm.
sure there'll be people who will, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But I think there's a lot you can do with this card.
Correction, this is not a exclusive with a box. This is a $20 exclusive. So it comes with
Oh,
full
is it?
texture
Oh,
packs.
all right.
Yeah, so a lot more affordable and frankly good in my opinion. Is it worth the 20 bones? I think for folks that are going to invest in that and don't have a problem with that, she's solid enough that she pays for the $20. There's some other cards exclusive
Hmm.
wise. I'm always going to tell you, I don't think it's worth it. It's up to you.
Yeah.
It's like you're not going to play it. It's not going to change your game. This one's fun to play with. It like Maine said though,
Hmm.
it's not a meta definer but it's fun. So if you want to support the game, you're going to do that. It's pretty good. Nalthazar
Yeah.
said he doesn't like her much. What else is new, Nalthi? I like something you don't. You like something I don't. The world continues to revolve, and it's okay for you to be wrong. It's okay. Her boost ability. At the beginning of the combat on your turn, your creatures get plus X plus O. Until the beginning of your next turn, X is equal to the speed value. So it's another bonus it's getting. All the way around, I think that's Again, it's a nice little solid third spot creature that goes in if you're running two spot creatures. And here's the other thing too, you don't have to have her on board. So if you're running token
Hmm.
creatures or whatever,
Right.
keep her in hand, exile, just keep one in hand that doesn't have mana in it, get the other bonuses into reducing your casting costs. So you reduce your hand
Exactly. Yeah.
size to 5 instead of 6. I like that. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very ingenious way to create synergies and value and different opportunities to play the game that haven't been explored before. So I think it's very clever. Well done, Webcore. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And then also it's got haste, vigilance, and first strike. Those all are not nothing.
Right? So if you throw three of her, so you did keep three in hand, and they wipe your board, and you've got two full mana and one without. You throw them on the board. You've got an 8/10 with first strike. What is that not going to kill? Throw some reach or some flying on it. It's going to do the thing, man. I'm telling you. I don't think this card's good. I think this card's bad. We're not going to talk
Morgana.
about it.
I don't even know
It's
really what it
it's
does. I haven't even
it's
really
bad.
looked at it.
15 mana. It's
When this support
exclusive,
enters the board, the first vehicle card in your hand gains full mana. Okay.
so you have to have a vehicle in
Boost
hand
7 at the beginning of your turn. Convert 4 gems. So it's like a worse version of a lot of other things that already exist.
for 15 mana.
Okay. For 15 mana.
If it
Yeah.
costs 7
Okay.
mana, okay, I could, okay, 15. Get out of here! What are you doing? Speed
Okay.
Demon, 15
I
mana
see what
boost.
you're
Like,
saying
what did
there.
I say? If it was an exclusive card that sucked, I would tell you guys. Moving on, the Speed Demon, 15 mana, boost one, legendary flying, trample
It's a
8/6 demon
demon,
black.
8/6.
When
Okay.
this creature attacks, draw a card. If you can't, this creature gets +3/+0. Another synergy for not having space in hand. Also good if you're running this with Aurelia. And how many times you play with Aurelia and you just already have full hands and you can't draw the card, so this gets a bonus on top of that. I think that's neat. Boost one, the
Okay.
lowest barrier of entry. At the beginning, at the end of your turn, gain X
Oh,
mana,
yeah.
then you lose X life. X is equal to your speed value. So you can lose 1, 2, up to 7 per turn. But if you're running life
Hmm.
link with some of your other stuff, you're offsetting that. I think that's cool. I'm setting a trend in this one. Thanks, man. Appreciate you, brother. Also because you get kids, he has to go get kids. I have to go too and get my son here right now. So we're gonna be wrapping this up here real quickly. Um,
Perfect.
Speed Demon itself is good. There's a lot of stuff where they're giving mana at the end of the turn, or you're getting the full mana at the end of the turn. So they're forcing you not to be able to get the thing during your turn to create the loops that what I like to have, but whatever. I think
Mhm.
this is another one where discard and draw are important. Vixed,
When you
verbose
draw a
host.
turn. Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead. So he's a
Oh, no, I was
homunculus.
just going to say, this reminds me of the another card that I really like, which is, what is it? Thopter Fabricator, I think it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah. Those are the three cards I was talking about. This one, Thopter Fabricator, and then the zombie one where it reinforces them, where it's on your draw. So when you draw a card during your turn, create a racer pilot token, boost 5 at the beginning of your turn, draw a card, then your creature's cards gain 5 mana. What's not to like about this little guy? He's a 0/4, so he's just gonna fit there,
Hmm.
and you're gonna find ways to boost him up and beef him up. So I dig it, man. I
Yeah,
think he's
I like to
fantastic.
pair these kind of cards with Satoru,
Mm,
because if you start with Satoru and this in your hand, then right away fill up your hand with cards because you every time you're drawing a card, you're creating a pilot. That pilot triggers Satoru, and you just right away, and then you're
he's
probably getting
gonna
some mana out of that.
He's the only reason I still like Judith better. Those creatures that she gets give everyone else lifelink, and that matters.
Right. Oh yeah.
And she
But this
costs
is
12,
like
so she's a little
if
cheaper.
you
But
can't
I want to run
use
this.
Judith or whatever in your deck because this is a mono blue,
Yes,
this
that's
will work
exactly what I was gonna
for
say.
that.
Judith, you can't run in a mono blue planeswalker like Jace Reawakened. This you
Hmm.
can, and now you've got that same build, but something just as functional. Chef's Kiss.
Exactly.
I don't have it. I'm chasing it. It's one of the cards I want. Duretti, yay or
Yeah.
nay? I play with him a little. He's okay.
I have yet to play with them. I know a lot of people like them, but I just to be determined for me. I just need to
Yeah.
actually sit it down and mess with it.
I don't have
I
this one.
do
I haven't
not
played
have
with
this
it.
yet.
It's exclusive. We're gonna move on. Another
Oh yeah, yeah.
exclusive Hazaret. Look at that art.
I do
That's
not like this card.
I don't like that color at all. I don't like the card either. Ovia Automech Artisan, human artificer. When a creature you control becomes blocked, that creature gains trample. No, this card's not good.
That's
It's too
weird.
small about it. Here it is. Repurposing Bay. I'm gonna talk about this one. 14
Go
mana,
for it.
blue, one shield artifact. When you discard a card, draw a card. When this support is destroyed, fetch the first artifact card with the greatest mana cost from your library. Then that card gains full mana. Now, here's the trick, boys and girls. This is the only artifact that you have that's 14 or more in your deck. Everything else has to be less than 14. Make sense?
Mm,
Because this only has one
yes.
shield. And you have to have room in your hand, one spot, to be able to draw this card up in the hand if this shield gets popped, which it will. So when you match it or when Greg matches it, you get another one full mana in hand. So you just put it at the top before you start running your cards, and then you start discarding cards and drawing cards, and it's always on the board for you while you go through it. Additionally,
Mm.
anything that brings supports back from the yard and puts them on deck. Dakin's
Like
third is
Starfield.
Starfield's
Yeah.
another one. Dakin's third is another one that does that, where it takes it
Right.
from the yard and puts it on board. So then you're reinforcing it, or if you're casting multiples of it, it has 2 or 3 shields on it, you're good to go. You get it to 3 shields, you pretty much don't need to worry about it anymore. You don't have to worry about the space in it. But early game, mid game, if it's the only one you got on there and you want to start loops or do the things you want to, that's what it is. I love this card. I think it's a chase card. I think it goes into one specific build type, but there's so many cards that fit that build type, it's going to be fine. Also, it's a good counter against discard control decks. So we have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of control decks that you're facing that just grind you down and that force those cards out of hand. This is a nice little
Yeah, that's
counterbalance to that.
true.
So
God, I hate discard
I
decks. I hate
hate
facing them,
facing
so I
discard
really
decks.
should use this card more.
Pyrewood Gearhulk. When this creature enters the battlefield, your creatures get +2/+2 and gains unblockable to the turn. Meh.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Anything else here? I'm just gonna go. Is there anything here that's at the top of your mind that you look
I
at?
like Coldstone Gearhulk. I've been playing it in certain decks. I think it's pretty cool.
When this creature enters the
ETB
battlefield,
bringing creatures from the graveyard
yeah,
into play.
gives them finality, which isn't that big a deal. There's just a couple of times I'm like, oh, I'm gonna run that because I can do this, and then I look at the finality and I'm just like, never mind. I
Yeah,
don't want to do that. There's another way I
right,
can
right.
do it that does the same thing. I think it's functional. I think this, for some reason, and I don't know why, for some reason, I'm seeing this played a lot with Rakdos, and I hate it in my brain. And that's kind of the reason why I haven't played with it yet. I have it, and I just, for whatever reason, I just want to throw Rakdos in with it. And I know it's going to be devastating, and I don't want to see it, and I don't want to permeate that. I don't want to encourage
Yeah, no,
that,
I
but
get it.
Roy, if you have this, go test it out for me, buddy. There's an alt art,
But
which is graffiti art, which I don't know why. Actually, that's kind of cool if you think about it. Graffiti art
I
for
actually kind of
voice
like
acting.
that
That's
one.
kind of like it. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, it's got Menace and Death Touch, which makes it good for that one node of Revolving Planeswalk where you have to play those.
Yeah, and Arc Priest too,
Yeah.
with the death touch, so I can still bring things from the. Yeah. I don't know. I think you're selling me on it. I think I kind of like it. I might have to go give it a test run, man. Ugh.
Yeah, it's
Ugh.
pretty. It's not bad.
Ooh, yeah. All right. I'll go give it a spin. Ketramos, the New Dawn. I got this card as a
You
spoiler.
like this one, right?
I pulled it, and I like this card a lot. All of the abilities play. If you give it shield or vigilance or reach, makes a. I mean, it's just boss, and it has menace. So if they're running something like you say Vindicator or Phyrexian Vindicator or something like that, it goes. When
Hmm.
you exile the card from your hand, if there are 7 or less loyalty gems on the board, you draw a card and lose 1 life. That actually plays. I just wish it didn't have the limiter of 3. I understand
Yeah.
maybe 5, maybe 6, something like that, but it is actually pretty uh, rare that you'll have 7 loyalty gems or less than 7 on board unless you're
Oh
specifically
yeah.
matching for loyalty, unless you're chasing loyalty to go get to like a 3rd level or something like that. There
Oh,
are
okay.
times where I'm mastering cards in Dakin, right? And I just want to go get to my 3rd as quickly as possible so I have a big beefy creature to go win with, right?
Hmm.
This is a great card for that because you're matching all the loyalty up, so there's very little. Then when I'm cycling through and go pull what card you want, whatever. It works in
Yeah.
those instances.
It does seem like a pretty good card to cycle through your deck to get the pieces you need because you
Yeah,
just exile that card that you don't want and you hopefully draw into the ones you do. So I could
yeah,
see, yeah, that's a
yeah.
pretty solid ability.
I like this card. I think it's good. Is it chase worthy? It's hard for me to say chase worthy. I think it will be a role player for some builds, and I think it's actually pretty good. And that alt art, look
Hmm.
at that. That's sassy. It's street art too. It's actually
That's kind of cool.
graffiti art too. It would have been cool if they
Yeah.
had done this more
I wonder
like
who
an
the artist is.
Aztec design. That would have been dope,
Mm.
right? Like a Mexican street artist Aztec thing. That would have been
Yeah, there you go.
freaking dope, man. That would have been cool. Sorry,
They need to do something like that in Magic. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Cards that
I think
have that
Exelon is probably the
aesthetic.
closest they've gotten to the Aztec stuff. They did that. They did that
Oh,
with Ixalan, but they did it more with the Mayan artwork, not necessarily the Mayan street art.
yeah. I'm talking about more like, yeah, like LA street type
Yeah,
of
they could have done that with this with
art.
racing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have a breakdancing world we'll get into. Loot the
Yeah.
Pathfinder.
There
Do
you
you
go.
like this card?
The exhaust screws me up every time, so I don't love it. I like that it's a haste with double strike and vigilance.
Yeah.
The problem is it's only a 2/4, but it's okay. You
I.
do need to pair it with things that are like gonna make it more stronger.
Mhm.
But I mean, I just like the original loot so much more.
Yeah, yeah, fair. And I like his abilities. His body's too small, and like you said, there's not enough mana. If each card got 6 mana instead of a total of 12 mana, and I could do it more than
Yeah.
once, or I could do it more than once, okay, fine, then let's do that. Because then I can do this with a repurposing bay, and then that gives me the things that I can go and do with that. So it gives me that 12 mana on top of
Mm.
that. Those two work together, but at 2/4, it's not big enough, good enough. That art's kind of cool, interesting.
I like the
Uh,
art though. Yeah.
Mu Young Ling, I haven't played with it an exclusive. I'm not going to talk about it. Well, let's get to it. Is there anything else we need to discuss here? Yeah, that's it. Last try. We'll get to this one right here. Sub Sun
Sabsune.
and Luxa. What you think?
What do you think about it? I'm
I
curious to
don't
know
have
what.
her. I haven't faced
Oh, you
her.
don't?
I have not. I have no opinion on her at all.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
my opinion
Um,
of her is no different than Vindicator and some of those other ones. I don't think
yeah.
I don't anticipate she's going to be as annoying, but I've heard a lot of flack about her that they don't like her as much.
I think there's a lot of I don't know, people sky is falling opinions about this card,
What
and
else is new?
in so far maybe because I'm not seeing it all over the place yet, but it hasn't been as big a deal for me as any of the other cards. Vindicator still messes me up more than this one does. The
Hmm.
thing about this is it does recur. So like you do need to find a way to, get it out of your opponent's hand once you
Hmm.
put it back there. But that's actually not that difficult, especially like what you're talking about. If you're running a discard deck, then you're not going to really have to deal with this that much.
Bounce and
So,
discard. Johan's stopgap, just put it back to hand, and then just cycle the hand with time reversal. Those are my favorite in mono blue
yeah,
peasant.
there's only been a couple of times where this card messed me up enough to stall me, but it wasn't a thing where I was like, "Uh-oh, I'm going to lose if this stays on the board," like a Vindicator
Right.
or yeah, it's really just not as annoying as people are making it out to be. My opinion of that might change if everybody starts using it every
Right.
time, but
You have to
or
play
every
with it
deck, but
every deck.
but I mean, Vindicator was everywhere for a while. People kind of moved off of it for a bit, and then now you still see it every now and again,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
still there.
not like taking over the meta like it was for a while. So yeah, I don't see it being as big a problem as Vindicator,
That frog thick, bro.
personally.
Have a good one, the hunter. We'll see you. We'll see you later. I don't know why I call you the hunter. I should just call you the hunter. Yeah, I think this card is good for new players, and if you get it, it's definitely something you should work with and throw it in your
Yeah, it's
decks. It's
really
gonna
fun on
crush you.
your side. I
Yeah,
like playing it. I use it a decent amount. I just don't think it's like gonna be as big a pain in the ass as people are trying to
yeah.
make it.
Not no creatures are Rakdos and all the other ones too. They're a pain. They just get
Speaking of
annoying.
discard, this card is cool.
Yeah.
Oil
Oil
Deep
Deep,
Gearhulk.
Gearhulk, 10 mana, lifelink 4/4 blue black, artifact construct, ward, drain 10 mana from your hand. That's for your opponent. When this creature enters the battlefield, your opponent discards the first and last card. I love that it's the first card and the last card. If it were
Hmm.
first two cards, whatever, anything that attacks the first card in hand makes a big difference. Stun, disable,
And
steal,
it's
exile,
cheap.
bounce the bottom of library. Yep, those are all ways to get it done. And it's 10 mana. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat it for that
Hmm.
price point, right?
With Lifelink, that's pretty relevant, especially in blue.
In yeah, blue doesn't have much lifelink, and I was just gonna say
Not a
black
lot.
there's not a lot even, and there's an
Yeah.
alt art version of
But
it.
yeah, all those cards that are making you lose life, this is a way to recover a bit.
Yeah,
I
bro,
want
this is
that
that
all
art's
art.
hot. That art is
Yeah.
hot. I
It
like that.
reminds me of like the 80s like anime, like the
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember like things
Ninja
like
Scroll,
sort of, yeah.
Vampire
But
Hunter
like I
D.
was thinking like the space
Oh,
I'm trying to remember.
Robotech. Gundam.
Things like that, kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
We're gonna skip past Basri. He's definitely a role player. Last ride. What are your thoughts on this? 5 mana, cheap, one shield.
Yeah, the one shield is the only thing that keeps it from being like a top tier card for me,
Yeah.
but it does a lot for you. And I think they fixed it though. I think it was the buff was permanent for a week. but
Oh,
um
and now it's
but
temporary.
it's actually a pretty decent little card
Mm.
to start off with. You it's really cheap to set up. You put like something like this and what's her face, Vraska on the board at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, and
Mm-hmm.
that's actually
Mm.
pretty good starting hand.
Yeah, that is pretty good. Yeah, that would be ugly. It's one of those things where you have to hold your creatures back and deal with the board presence before you can do anything else. All right,
Yeah,
my friend. The only other card I want to talk about is the one that we all know and love, and
yeah,
here it is, Full Throttle. This is the
full
card of the set
throttle.
for me. I love this card. 25 mana. That's the only downside to it is it costs too much.
Right.
Red, deal X damage to your opponent's planeswalker. X is the total power of creatures you control. Then creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. And if they have haste or any kind of thing like that, you're basically swinging with a big beefy bodies with double strike. So if I don't do if they're not big enough for me to just outright kill my opponent with the blast from this, if I
Hmm.
have the Fire Servant, is that what it is? The
Oh
PMA,
yeah. Uh-huh.
have that on board. That doubles the damage. Then he's got double strike, so he can swing. And then if there's something else that's offering double damage, what's the dragon that does double damage?
Oh, twin
Um,
flame
Twin
time.
flame.
Yeah.
So mono red burn, baby, destructo death. Like, good lord, that's brutal. And if you're triggering those with like a raw loop deck with something else that's pulling that off for some reason,
Mm,
there's so much potential with this card as a finisher.
there is.
I'm very excited to go see what else we can do with it. The other
I've
side of
been
that
messing
too.
around with Mossborn Hydra because that thing grows
Oh yeah,
really quickly if
yeah,
you build for it.
yep.
So I'm trying to figure out what's the best deck for that combo though.
You got to have mystical teachings to get this thing for free, and then maybe a ten.
Yeah,
So I think red, green, blue are like the
yeah,
three colors, which is what I
mystical
demonstrated in
temp
my
and
for my build with and then it runs Gearhulk or it runs Railway Brawler, Galta, and yeah, and that's basically all you need, and then it just throws it and destroys within a single turn. You can win in turn one with this card without even having to attack, even though my creatures can attack. You can take the
are you
haste out and
running
not even
haste
worry
in
about it.
that deck?
I
I
am just
forget.
because I have 3 card slots to go with, so it's like, all right, why not? I could do the Fire Servant and maybe make it even faster instead of the haste, and just beef up.
Okay.
Here's one final thing. This is the only thing I was going to say in the beginning of the thing, and now that we're wrapping up, I'm going to say this. Here's another reason why I prefer this over actually swinging for game. Aegis.
Yep, yeah.
If Aegis is on the board, my first creature doesn't do any of the things I'm hosed, except that I have this card. So I don't care if you disable it. It's still beefed. It's still
Right.
Galta. You take that fire to the face. There's nothing to stop me from doing that. So it's an alternate win con. It gives me 2 ways to win within that deck. That deck wins. It's a lot of touching, so it takes a while to do the stuff. You know me, I don't like to do that. I prefer loops that
Yeah.
take 2 or 3 turns, but I just have to swipe once. I can make my eggs in the morning, it wins. I collect my prizes, go into the next one, make a swap, do it 2 swaps, and I win. Versus having to touch
Mm,
and concentrate in this, and I've got to go that way, and I've got to push this, and that. This requires some thinking to go pull off. I'm anticipating we're
mhm.
going to build some decks that are going to require less thinking, and especially in Legacy, I think this card is going to be insane. I think it's going to be insane.
Oh
So
yeah, I haven't even messed with it in Legacy because, it's Legacy, but
yeah,
that's gonna be even crazier, like
yeah,
even faster wins than you already get in Legacy.
yeah. I think this is a Legacy impacting card. Let me take a look at the rest of the rares
I think
here. If
so.
there's anything, I like Count on Luck. I don't know that there's a good way to use it just yet. This with uh
You need a way
Starfield
to
of
cheat it
Mist.
out quickly.
Yeah, connecting the
Um,
dots. Connecting the dots.
Connecting the dots, even Master of Keys, if you're playing it with that, you
Okay.
hopefully get one of these for free.
It's a lot of work to do the same thing you get with loot by
Yeah,
itself, right? So,
right.
okay, beginning of your turn,
It
fetch
is
first
a
card from hand.
rare though, so
Yeah,
yeah.
true,
But
true.
yeah, it's like a more costly connecting the dots to me so far.
Yeah, which both of them together makes sense.
Mhm.
Let me see. Is there anything else that stands out to me? Anything else in rare to you that makes you say, ah?
Far Fortune actually surprised me. I like that card a lot.
How much does it cost?
I think 18, something like that, 17, 18. It's a red creature, red black creature, I think.
Okay.
Or is it just red?
15 mana,
Yeah,
4
red.
5 black red, boost for legendary human mercenary. When this creature attacks, deal 1 damage to each opposing creature. Boost 4 when you deal damage to your opponent's planeswalker for the first time during your turn. Deal X damage to your opponent's planeswalker. X is 2 plus the damage dealt that way. So when you deal damage,
So you could even pair this with the full throttle. I don't think I have yet,
uh
but
huh,
that sounds like it could be
test that
very
because I don't
good.
think I have this guy yet. I'm pretty sure I don't actually. The
Uh,
only other one I was
yeah,
going to
I was
mention.
messing with it. I really liked it with things like Twin Flame Tyrant and all that. That like
Mm-hmm.
stack damage upon damage. You can
Mm-hmm.
like deal a lot of damage really quickly with the right combo of creatures in that.
Yeah. Again, I haven't played with it, but that does sound like something I'd like to test out. There isn't much else in rare. The lands suck this time around. They're
Oh yeah,
bad. They're really bad.
I haven't
Um,
messed with a lot of the rares yet. I'm not quite there.
the
But
only other
Thopter
one I do want to
Fabricator
kind
is
of
good.
Boomabil for 13 mana, artifact vehicle, crew 3 at the beginning of your turn, gain 3 mana. Fine, fair. Exhaust. You only get to do it once, but that 10 damage matters. Nalthazar was talking earlier about dealing 10 damage on objectives. This is one that does it right away. Then your first creature gets +6/+5. It's pretty substantial, and there's only 2 shields to it, so it's going
Okay.
to get broken up pretty quick. I think ways they could have made these cards better is giving them 1 shield, right? 2 shields
Mm,
max, but 1 shield, you match it, you get rid of it. It's got the exhaust emblem. Cast another one, or Starfield of
that's a
Nyx,
good point.
bring it back, and you go again. This also brings back into effect of if you have supports with exhaust, okay, you have a bunch of them on board, they're all exhausted. You nuke the board, you destroy all gems with some board wipe, and then what's the card that brings all your supports and artifacts back to the board?
Oh yeah, Redress Fate.
Redress Fate. So you do that.
That's an interesting idea. I haven't, I kind of forgot about Redress Fate. I was using it for a while. Then I
Oh,
found
oh,
not that
hold
many
on.
good cards, but now we have a lot of artifacts and stuff to play around with.
If you draw
With all
Redress
that
Fate,
discard you're going to be doing.
if you draw Redress Fate and that triggers its overflow,
Yeah.
that's exiling from hand. That triggers the exhaust. That does all the things. Then
Mm,
no, then you'd have to destroy and they would bring those back on board. Never mind. I was thinking that if you had one that destroyed the supports with your overflow, that would trigger the exhausts, get all of the functions, destroy
mm.
them. I don't know if there is one though. We'll have to look. Anyways, this is a good card. It's functional. I think there's some fun to it. What was the other one you were talking about?
What was it?
Oh, this one, Cryptcaller Chariot. 12 mana, black, artifact vehicle. When you discard a card from your hand, create a zombie token. At the beginning of combat on
Oh,
your turn, you may
interesting.
discard the last card from your hand. If you do, your first creature gets +5/+5 and gives menace until the beginning of your next turn. So this is one that does it, but that's not the one I was thinking of. That is cool. Mindspring
Uh,
Merfolk. 12 mana, 1/1. At the beginning of your turn, draw a card. Oh, no, not that one. Damn it. Keep thinking of the wrong ones. Hold on. Oh, here it is. This is the one. Curse Cloth Wrappings. 10 mana, artifact. At the beginning of your turn, your zombie creatures get +1/+1. At the end of your turn, return a random creature card from your graveyard to your hand. That creature gains lifelink and the
and the zombie
zombie
subtype.
subtype.
Okay. I see the gears turning. Yeah.
Temnet, Temnet. Go get this, Temnet, and Galta. Zombies. So I like so again, my friends. There's a lot of fun cards in this set, a lot of neat little synergies. You just got to figure out where they are and play with them. We have maintained the
Mhm.
same level of people who have had come and go, but you guys have been here. If you're here watching this video right now, you guys are such awesome peeps. I adore you. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on this. We're well over time.
Yeah,
I know Maine's got to go. I'm late. I got to go pick up my son.
me
Any
too.
final things you want to say about this set before we wrap up, my friend?
I I'm trying to figure out, is this going to be another set like Bloomborough where everybody was like very meh on it, and then just a couple standout cards are just like, oh, you got to go get Dragonhawk and everything else. And is it
Chaos
going to be
Warp.
one of those
Chaos
sets?
Warp's in Bloomborough. Isn't that a shame?
Yeah, Chaos Warp, Dragonhawk. Those are like the two main must-haves, right? So I'm still waiting to see which one's going to be the must-haves for this set. There's a lot of fun stuff, but like not a lot of meta changing things yet.
I honestly think Full Throttle so far is the
Full
only
Throttle
real
has
true
potential,
chase
yeah.
card out of the set. There's a lot of fun cards and a lot of nice little uh, synergies and fun decks you can play that
Hmm.
actually can hang in the meta if built correctly. Um, but you're right. There's nothing in it so far that I've seen that is just so OP that it's like, oh my god, that's the chase card of the set. You can
Hmm.
still win doing all the stuff I've demonstrated without Full Throttle. It works just fine. But I like the flavor of Full Throttle. I think it's fun putting it on
Oh
top of
yeah.
everything else. Um, Roy says I got over 2,000 in Rawl, Satoru, and Judith. I don't understand what you mean. Stun, disable, steal, exile, bounce to bottom of library. Those are all fun ways to do it. I got over 2K in Rawl, Satoru, and Judith. Laugh out loud. I don't know what that means. Gold? Crystals chasing them? What do you mean, Roy?
Hit
Uh,
point or power?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that easy. You had Relic's Roar, and you've got some beefy creatures. You can just keep the loop going. I stop it because I don't like waiting. Win now. My friends, as always, we appreciate you. As always, you could be anywhere in the world. Show spend this time with us here. It is appreciated. Get into the Discord, hang out with me and Maine and the rest of the crew. We love hearing and seeing you guys and getting all the advice and suggestions and some of your feedback and some of the brews you've got going on. We'd love to see it. But as always, my friends, that's basically it. Anything else before we sign off, Maine?
Nothing. Yeah, just thanks everybody for hanging out. Always appreciate all the feedback, both in real time and in the discords and all on the YouTube comments. I check them all. Try to be on top of everything. So, uh, got anything to say? Yeah, let me know.
Chime in. And
All
sub to
right.
Maine. If you haven't been sub to Maine already, you need to be sub to Maine. He's absolutely one of the best content creators in the game right now. And Althazar and Hunter
Oh
and
yeah, I'm also actually pretty close to being able to monetize my channel using like memberships and stuff like that. So I think I'm only about like 60 hours away, which is actually not that far. So yeah, if I do plan on doing some exclusive stuff for
members.
paying members. So
Nice.
if you're interested in things like that, yeah, stay tuned. Subscribe if you're not already, and yeah, hope to see you there on the other side of the paywall.
Absolutely,
All
man.
right.
All right, guys, have a good one. I'm late. I got to bounce, but